Good morning, everybody. My name is Zal Dastoor. I'm going to be your MC as well as your Q&A moderator for this morning. So you're going to see a lot of me up on stage. I want to welcome you to the 2026 Innovation Spotlight. And now what we are curated session, it convenes over 30 innovative startups and social enterprises advancing solutions across climate, health, and inclusive development. The event is co-organized by COAXIS, the Center for Impact Investing and Practices, as well as Philanthropy Asia Alliance. So we're bringing together partners and organizations from across the global impact ecosystem. And the Innovation Spotlight highlights cutting-edge approaches, technologies, and models that are translating innovation into real-world impact. Featuring keynote sessions from Tencent, Google DeepMind, as well as BRIN, which is Indonesia's National Research and Innovation Agency. To find out more about the partners we work with to create the sessions and the startups you will hear from soon, please scan the program booklets, QR code on the screens. And throughout the session, you'll notice that if a company catches your eye, there's another QR code where you can submit a form to indicate your interest to connect directly with them. So, to deliver the opening remarks, we welcome Mr. Desmond Kuek, the CEO of Temasek Trust, to the stage.
Very good morning, everybody. Distinguished guests, partners, friends, welcome to the Innovation Spotlight at this year's Philanthropy Asia Summit. It's quite evident that we're living at a time when the challenges facing our region are becoming much more complex, more urgent, and more interconnected. Climate change no longer sits apart from health. Food insecurity is tied to livelihoods and migration. Inequality shapes resilience itself. The challenges are all converging, but so too are the opportunities to respond with greater imagination, partnership, and purpose. It's a defining moment for Asia. Across the region, we're seeing a new generation of innovators stepping forward, not with distant theories, but with practical solutions to immediate problems. They are building cleaner energy systems, strengthening food resilience, expanding access to healthcare, and using technology to reach communities that traditional systems often overlook. What they need is not only recognition, they need conditions that will allow innovations to thrive. Catalytic capital, trusted partnerships, patient support, and institutions prepared to take the long view. That's the purpose of today's gathering. Innovation doesn't advance just because good ideas exist. It advances when ecosystems come together to back those ideas with conviction. So the goal of this spotlight is not simply to showcase innovation, but to help create pathways for innovation to achieve scale, trust, and lasting impact. Today, you'll be hearing from a few leaders who have been working at the frontier of technology and social impact. Google DeepMind will explore how responsible AI can accelerate climate modeling and drug discovery. Tencent will share how digital platforms can broaden participation in philanthropy. BRIN will demonstrate what meaningful collaboration across public, private, and philanthropic sectors can achieve in practice. You will also meet more than 30 startups already translating ambition into action. It's a most impressive showcase across climate, health, food systems, employability, and financial inclusion. In climate and sustainability, Our innovators are tackling supply chain traceability, textile and food waste upcycling, precision agriculture, sustainable aquaculture, plant-based alternatives, and clean energy storage and transport. In health, the focus spans early disease detection, community pharmacy strengthening, patient management digitization, autism therapy, senior care, and vital sign monitoring. In inclusive development, startups are addressing frontline worker skilling, disability employment, deaf accessibility, student financing, and financial inclusion for underserved communities. You give us much cause for hope, because your ideas are an important reminder that innovative solutioning is already happening, here, now. The question is whether we are prepared to support it with the conviction and the commitment that it deserves. At Temasek Trust, we believe that the most complex challenges cannot be solved by any one sector alone. It needs collaboration and synchronous action across public, private, and the philanthropic sectors. Progress will depend on collective leadership. Philanthropy can take risks, others cannot. Enterprises can scale solutions. Governments can create enabling environments. And innovators like you can challenge assumptions and open new possibilities. We want to help bring all of these strengths together to connect ideas, institutions, and partners in ways that can create enduring impact, where the greatest returns are measured not only in market returns, but in lives improved and futures protected. So I hope today sparks new partnerships, sharper conviction, renewed commitment to support innovations that truly matter. We look forward to learning more about yours. Thank you for your exciting work, for all that energy and effort, and I wish you a meaningful and productive innovation spotlight ahead. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much, Desmond, for those inspiring opening remarks. For our first keynote, I would like to welcome Anna Koivu-Nemi. Anna leads the Google DeepMind Impact Accelerator, an organization that accelerates the social impact of Google's DeepMind technologies and expertise to benefit humanity.
Good morning, Singapore. It's an honor to be in the region with such an amazing social innovation, with the leading in philanthropy and consumer AI adoption. Google DeepMind, often called also the AI engine of Google, mission is build AI responsibly to benefit humanity. And I lead the team that brings our technology to social impact. Now let me get started with the question of hands. Who used already AI today? This is why I'm here. This is amazing to see how already we use it. Now, I use it actually to advise my outfit today, but it's much more than that. Why AI is so good on many areas is beyond asking advice what to wear. AI is actually really, really good of handling huge amount of data and recognizing patterns of them. And I will share you an example of AlphaFold, our model, protein folding model later on that, which is a great example. It's also really good of making a lot of scenarios and predicting events like weather. And I will tell you about that as well. Increasingly, AI is also great at doing tasks for you, finding best skills, the agentic versions. There will be some news later this week, I hope you enjoy. I will focus today to talk about more the social impact our models have already done and are doing in APAC. Let me start with a story. I was in a boat with my husband and 4 teenagers when the huge storm came. And when my husband was steering this boat with the meters of the waves and the teenagers were pretty stressed, the only thing I could think about was, I wish we would have a better weather forecasts. Now it's actually amazing that how good the weather forecast is today, because weather is extremely complex phenomenon. And already for decades, the humans have been creating physical models that predict, based on millions and millions of observations, a single predictions of what is the temperature today. And of course it changes all the time, so you need to do this calculation all the time to have a single prediction. And if you think about phenomena like typhoons, where we talk about huge wind forces, there is no actually really great physical models to predict the strength of the typhoon or the direction. And last November, there was 2 big typhoons hitting Philippines, Kalmaiji and Fumwong. Both were directed to Philippines, but it was not really clear where they're going to hit. We actually, the summer before, we had made a weather model, experimental weather model, and specified that to cyclones. And we contacted the Bagasa, which is a weather agency in Philippines, and asked, what can we do to help? And they were saying it would be really, really helpful. Sorry, it played once all, and I think I need to do this to play it again, because you can see the direction of the typhoon. And they said, you know what? It takes a lot of supercomputers to make this weather forecast traditionally. It would be really, really helpful if you would do some scenarios how to actually, where it could land. And AI is really, really good of making these scenarios. We could make thousands in a few minutes. So we did it, and we provided them to Bagasa. And I don't know if you remember, but later when the Phong Vu was closing Philippines, Bagasa was having warnings, having millions of people evacuated out of the typhoon. Now we hope our scenarios were helping them to define where it landed. And as you can see, AI is already today changing the weather forecast. Now, another area where AIs have massive benefits is health and solving infectious diseases. How many of you have heard about AlphaFold? This is very typical. It's a very special program. If this would be a room of structural microbiologists, everybody would have known it. AlphaFold actually, and my colleagues, John and Demis, won a Nobel Prize on AlphaFold 2024. It's a model that predicts protein shapes. Now, proteins are the engine of life. We would be a bag of water without them. And the shape, you can see the shapes in this picture, it defines how they function, or how we want them not to function in case of proteins that are causing diseases. And it was very difficult in the past to define the protein shape. So we used the AI to solve the problem of protein shape, and we actually pre-predicted the shape of 200 million proteins and gave it to the scientists in the world to use and accelerate their work. In the past, it took 3 to 5 years for a single protein, so we now gave 200 million proteins to them. And today, there is 3 million researchers, 3.3 actually, who are using these structures to accelerate their work. And 1/3 of them are here in Asia. And they're working often on the topics that are very relevant for the region. Here's an example of Dr. Sue Dutt, who is researching this very difficult word, melioidosis. It's actually a Whitmore's disease. That's how I call it, because it's easier to pronounce. And it's a bacteria that lives in soil and water and actually kills 89,000 people every year. So that's 100 times more than dengue. And Dr. Sue Dutt is using AlphaFold to understand the protein shape in order to hopefully find cure for this disease that is so lethal. Now, I know that many of you in the room are funding innovation and social innovation, so you might be thinking about, oh, that's great. I will also want to invest on AlphaFold and Weather AI models, but how do I recognize what's worth investing? And how do I make sure that my investments deliver the maximum impact when you're leveraging AI? We need more partnerships. Actually, Desmond Kuek said Sunday morning that 1P is partnerships. We cannot alone to develop models and deliver them in the world. And I'm extremely proud today to announce that Google.org has been funding $7 million to contributing and joining the Philanthropy Asia Alliance Health for Human Potential Coalition. I think it's a word of applause. Thank you. And why am I, as a technologist, excited about that? That we in Google DeepMind will bring our best science model and Gemini and advanced models to help to find solution for infectious diseases and battle the pandemics. And this fund is helping us to partner and catalyze that. Now, like I said, how do we find these partnerships, the best models to fund in, and the AI, the AlphaFolds of the future, to where to invest in? We have recognized this problem, and our friends in .org actually have developed an AI readiness playbook for funders. There is a glitch, I see, but there is an AI readiness playbook for funders, and it helps. The principle behind it is that you cannot fund what you don't understand, and you cannot understand something you cannot use. So this playbook helps you to make AI beneficial for your organization and then deploy your funding, hopefully, to accelerate the areas. Are we going to get the... I will continue if we don't get the pages up there. Now, one thing is actually important is to make sure that the funders know AI in order to fund it well, but it's not enough. We need to actually ensure that everybody knows what AI is, how to use it, and how to use it responsibly. 3 years ago, my team recognized this as a topic, and we thought every youth actually deserves to know what AI is, and understand it in a way that they can use it responsibly, understand the risks and implications they need to take into account when they use it. So we co-created a program called Experience AI. It's a program created with Raspberry Pi Foundation to educators to help them to teach children about the AI. It's freely available, and we actually, to make sure that we can deploy that in the world, and now we probably are getting also the picture of it. Here we go. Together with the SGKC in Malaysia, we've already reached 11,000 educators and estimated that we could reach 900,000 children together to make sure that they know about AI. Now, we recognize the potential and have partners, again with the .org and partners to make sure that we can expand the AI education further, hoping to reach maybe 4.7 million children and learners in the future. So also scaling in this space. AI can help to build healthier and more resilient future if you do it together in the partnership in responsible ways. Imagine the universe of possibilities that AI could help us to unlock or accelerate or scale when we deploy it in social impact. And as Desmond Kuek said, we have a very exciting list of social impact entrepreneurs and companies today, and I hope when you listen to them, you are thinking about in your head, could AI help to scale this? Could we do this more? Could we do this better if we deploy? Or could we actually solve areas that today are unsolvable when we deploy AI responsibly to benefit humanity? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna. And it is inspiring to see AI being used for more than just chatbots and making funny videos. So the innovation spotlight today is divided into 3 segments. Those are climate, health, and inclusive development. We will kick off with the climate segment, and first up is the Amplifier program. The Amplifier is a global mentorship program by the Center for Impact Investing and Practices and Philanthropy Asia Alliance, both ecosystem entities of Temasek Trust. A program particularly close to my heart because I had the honor of being able to mentor many of the startups and see up close the incredible work that these inspirational founders are undertaking. The program is designed to find and scale high-potential impact solutions across Asia. Each mentee organization receives catalytic capital, a full year of tailored mentorship, market insights, and structured capability building backed by a cross-sector network of over 70 parties. In 2025, the Amplifier ran 3 tracks, and today all 10 companies from those tracks are in this room. And you'll hear from every single one of them across the spotlight today. Here is a short video to introduce the program.
Across Asia, young people, persons with disabilities, and other underserved groups face barriers to finding meaningful work. Through Amplifier, we connect impactful ventures with global expertise and networks to help them create more inclusive pathways to long-term employment.
Startups reimagining Asia's tourism value chain would do well to figure out ways to balance sustainability with commercial outcomes. Programs like the Amplifier bridge this gap by providing catalytic capital and expert mentorship to build in-house capacity of startups so they can scale their solutions sustainably.
Across the global textiles value chain, we're seeing tremendous innovation in response to sustainability challenges. The question is how to scale those ideas into measurable impact. The Amplifier program brings together corporates, philanthropists, and industry experts to support the development of solutions in this space.
All such inspiring innovations, and you will hear from all of them later today. First up from the Amplifier program is the Textiles track, supported by the Singapore Fashion Council and as a strategic partner, and Shein as Impact Innovation Partner. The Textiles track of the Amplifier program is focused around tackling pre- and post-consumer waste and keeping clothes in circulation and reimagining materials. So 4 mentees, Baytex, Halskia, Unspun, and Novaloop were selected as they each represented a different but complementary piece of the textile circularity puzzle. First up, Bezia Bacon, the founder of Baytech.
Hi everyone, I'm Beza Baikan, the founder and CEO of Bytech, the company behind HMS Handmade Stones. Most of us own a pair of jeans, and we all love that shades of blue, the worn-in effect, the vintage aesthetics, and the soft feel. But very few of us know how you get those effects. Actually, in factories, they use pumice, volcanic rocks, and they put this in industrial washing machines to wash the jeans with. And this sounds very, innocent because it's volcanic rocks. However, pumice breaks down really easily and creates a toxic sludge that's mixed with chemicals, indigo, and dyes, and this goes to landfills. When you think about it in factory level, this means 1.8 million kilograms of toxic sludge going to landfills per month per factory. And that is the cost behind the jeans we wear every day. And that's why we created HMS. HMS is a durable pumice replacement that doesn't only give the same exact effects, but also doesn't create any sludge and reduces the water, energy, and the time needed to create these effects. In one factory that switched fully to HMS, saved 360,000 liters of water, cut down 400 tons of sludge, and also saved 20,000 euros in operational costs in 1 month only. Which means HMS is not only a sustainable solution, it also makes business sense. And this matters a lot because companies don't really buy into a good idea. They really needed to cut down costs and make business sense and protect the quality of the product, and that's exactly what HMS does. Our patented porous structure of the stone keeps the consistency of production, and also our product is customizable and can work with different fabric blends such as tencel and recycled fibers. And this is not just a great idea on paper. We exist in global supply chain. We are currently the registered vendor of Levi's, Contour, which is the home to Lee & Wrangler, and we work with denim mills and manufacturers who work with companies like Inditex. And the thing about stonewashing is that you need it every single season for every collection and for, regular use. So this means that this is not a one-time purchase market. This is a regular business. And this also means that the more impact we create, the more we scale, the more you can also save with HMS. So today we are looking for strategic partners to scale with, and we believe that with HMS you can keep the heritage of denim, but you can leave the waste that it creates behind. Thank you.
Next up, Patrick Strumpf, the CEO of Helixa.
Hi everyone, my name is Patrick. I'm the CEO of Helixa, and I wonder if you know that 30% more organic cotton shirts are produced than organic cotton is harvested. At the same time, did you know that 2 times more cashmere sweaters are sold than cashmere goats are running around in the world? The problem is manufacturers and brands don't know, and they can't verify which material and if the sustainable material which they have bought and paid for lands in their finished garment. The result, they face legal risk, costly product recalls, or losing customer trust. The solutions which are there have all failed to solve this problem. Certifications, RFID, QR codes, they're either manipulated, removed, or copied. So we asked ourselves, is there a solution where the certificate of a product could be inside the product itself, safely embedded into the fiber? And you would be able to verify from fiber to finished garment at any point in the supply chain that this is the material that has been used. And that's what we developed at Helixa. We developed a traceability solution based on DNA. So we used DNA markers in a liquid form to apply them to raw material. And once the DNA is applied, the certificate is inside the product and it can be read out at any point. We developed the DNA to be super robust. So in textile processes, you have bleaching, dyeing, washing, all of that it withstands. At the same time, it's absolutely natural. so you could even drink it. In fact, fun fact, we derived the DNA from Swiss mountain herbs, the same ones like you probably know from the world famous Ricola candies. But DNA has more advantages why we're using it. First of all, it's super secure, so you cannot detect it if you don't know the key. It's a key lock mechanism. Then it's very scalable. A small glass of liquid DNA would be enough to mark 10 tons of raw material. And thirdly, it's super versatile. So we use it for textiles, cashmere, organic cotton, but also textile waste, recycled. But we also use it on precious minerals and metals. So we are having very good traction. In the last years, we won multiple awards. We have marked 42,000 tons of raw material, which relates to over 60 million garments, every single garment traceable. We believe the world doesn't need any more claims of sustainability, it needs proof, and we are delivering that. And we're looking for impact investors who share this vision with us. Thank you.
Next on stage is Walden Lamb, the co-founder and president of Unspun.
Good morning, Singapore. My name is Walden. I'm a co-founder at Unspun. Every year, about hundreds of billions of units of garments are produced, more than a quarter of which they're never sold, never worn, never consumed, not because the products are not good enough, but because of a fundamental demand-supply chain mismatch. In the fashion industry, you typically have to plan 18, 24 months in advance because of a very long and convoluted supply chain. And because of that, you have to predict 1.5 years out about what consumers would want in the style, color, sizing options. It's impossible. Compounded with the fact that we're facing many, many disruptions in the global supply chain with the wars, geopolitics, and trade barriers. At Unspun, we created the world's first 3D weaving technology to turn yarns into semi-finished garment forms. It takes about 20 minutes to produce a pair of pants under one roof, compared to a traditional process of about 40, 45 minutes. That 20-minute time save unlocks the ability for brands, manufacturers to really think about a different supply chain, a supply chain that's localized, that's automated, and that's cleaner. So instead of having to wait 18 months, now you're thinking about days and weeks. And so you don't have to be producing as much of that stock. Brands don't have to be flooded with inventory that they have to discount or landfill. And you are producing exactly what consumers would want in the precise quantities and style color options that are available. Since we launched, we've been able to focus on 3D woven pants as a core categories because it's a product that speaks to the fit and the quality of what consumers would want. Since we've launched products, we have been launched in Paris Fashion Week, in New York Fashion Week, and we've signed on major blue chip customers and off-take customers like Walmart and On Running. And since we launched our microfactory in California and have secured a lot of brand partners in Europe, now I'm excited that I'm in my back in my home turf in Asia, where we're getting a strong pipeline of Asia brands to be scaling in the deployment of our technology. And we're looking for pioneering manufacturing partners to be deploying our technology within their own factories so that we can set up a resilient local supply chain to really clean up the supply chain that we have. And so that brands do not have to be flooded with stock. If you share this vision that you want to clean up the supply chain for products that are cost parity, better for the consumers, and clean, please reach out to us. I'm Walden at Unspun. Thank you.
And finally, Miranda Wang, co-founder and CEO of Novaloop.
Every year, 300 million tons of plastic is produced from fossil fuels, and yet only less than 10% ever gets recycled. At the same time, brands and manufacturers around the world are looking for sustainable materials as alternatives. Yet it's so hard to find solutions that are cost competitive, can meet the scalability needs of real-world products, and perform. My name is Miranda Wang, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Novaloop. We're a circular materials company focused on transforming hard-to-recycle plastics into high-performance polyurethane materials. At the core of what we started with is a proprietary chemical recycling technology that takes post-consumer polyethylene waste, which is the material that makes shopping bags and packaging, and we chemically convert it into polyols and TPU, which are essential polyurethane materials used to make everything from footwear, adhesives, coatings, and mattresses and beyond. Different from traditional recycling, which oftentimes downcycle or downgrade material qualities, our process actually upcycles materials into virgin performance, which means that you actually don't have to compromise on how you process those materials and the performance that you get out of them. And we can deliver this cost competitively today. Our company is currently scaling up, and in 2029, we expect to bring online 12,000 tons of commercial capacity in China. This capacity, however, is still very small compared to the massive amount of polyurethanes that are used today. Over 5.5 million tons of polyurethanes are already used today, and we would only be, out of this initial plant, fulfilling 0.3% of the market share. And already this scale will allow us to reach profitability so that we can continue expanding beyond in this market. What's important here is we're not just starting out from zero. To date, we have already fulfilled over 100,000 tons of TPU orders in this product category under our Recycle Plus product brand. And this product has allowed us essentially to learn how to become a supplier in these supply chains and offer something that is reliable and demonstrate the demand for these sustainable materials that don't have compromises. Our vision at Novaloop is to be the global industrial platform to enable the transition so that we do not have to rely so much on fossil fuels to make the materials of the future. Today, we're here looking for strategic partners around the world, whether you are a manufacturer or a brand, and looking for these sustainable alternatives that can allow you to not only reduce your CO2 emissions, increase your post-consumer recycled content, but also allow you to actually fulfill your sustainability needs without these compromises that you hear about all the time. Thank you very much.
I'd like to invite all these startups back on stage for a Q&A and to remind the audience that we do have a live Mentimeter where you can submit questions for the startups. Please don't forget to address them to a specific startup. Great. Why don't we go in the order that they're up here? Miranda, I'll start with you. Since Novaloop turns low-value plastic waste into high-performance materials, how do you ensure that these recycled inputs can consistently meet industry-grade performance standards?
Could you repeat the second half? I couldn't really hear you.
How can you ensure that the recycled inputs can meet industry-grade performance standards?
Yeah, so the key here is in how our process does this chemical recycling. It's true that the feedstock, the challenge here of recycling waste is that the feedstock is not uniform, and there's always contamination. First, there's a lot of work put around quality controlling the sourcing that we do. Then it comes to how do we in our chemical process purify. So our process essentially first oxidizes to break down the polyethylene from a large carbon polymer structure down to smaller molecules, building blocks. Then we do chemical purification, a series of purifications that allow us to derivatize these monomers, these building blocks, into synthesis grade. This is one of the critical breakthroughs of our technology platform, is not only being able to purify, but knowing how much to purify and to what extent is of enough quality. And then taking those building blocks that are purified and then moving them into making those downstream products and ensuring that they do meet all of those ASTM test standards that are required for those downstream products. So it's a combination of many different things done, but essentially these are the missing things that I would say from a lot of recycling processes today, or are just simply very challenging if you don't have a chemical method to do this conversion.
Thank you. Beza, you mentioned that HMS is not only a sustainable solution, but also a production efficiency solution. Can you share what makes this commercially scalable for brands?
Sure. So because HMS is much more durable than the conventional stones, it starts from the shipping process. You get one container instead of 40 containers of the product that serves the same purpose. And it's really important in a world where supply chain is becoming more and more unreliable. And then you get the HMS, which gets so much less storage space than pumice, and you use so much less water, energy, because it works with tap water. You don't need to heat the water as opposed to the other process. And it also doesn't create any sludge. And sludge is not only, oh, there's so much waste type of problem. You need to transport all that sludge to those landfills that you're dumping it to. So transportation is also really expensive. So you're saving on all of these fronts in every step of the way. And that is why companies like CIIP are saving so much money along with water, energy, and resources month by month because they use HMS. So.
Thank you. And Patrick, why is now the right time for Helexia to be scaling?
Yeah, actually, I think we found the right commercial proposition, I would say. The solution is sustainable and it supports sustainability, but if you come to companies, they always ask, what is the commercial value? And we went out and we asked our customers actually, and what came back is the best solution in my way, or the best argumentation which we have. So they're paying 20% more for organic cotton today, but they're not sure they're getting it in the final product. So now they're paying 21%, including Helixer, and 99.9% is secured that this lands in your final garment. So that's very strong, and with that proposition we can also go not only to sustainability departments, but we can go to the CFO and convince them. And for me, being a very commercial person, of course I like that. That's the first thing. The second is we see all of these innovations, Novoloop is one of them, coming with their special fibers, and these fibers need protection because they want to show that this fiber is used afterwards in the finished garment. So if you invest something in a premium fiber, you either have a very good traceability tool or you trust your supply chain. And I would go with the first one.
Thank you, Patrick. And Walden, you're developing a technology that you hope to deploy at scale in microfactories globally. What's the realistic timeline and what's the biggest hurdle in your way?
Yeah, so logistically, we can deploy machines within a 4-month timeline if orders are placed today. So that's our logistics. And in terms of hurdle, I think like a lot of the supply chain innovators, what we are faced with is supply chain disruptions that need to happen along the value chain. So we have what we call like what I call an aligning the stars problem. You need manufacturers, you need brands, you need the geography to be working right. So, and they need to be ready at the same time.
Excellent. Can I get a round of applause for the textiles team? So, innovation can transform one of the world's most polluting industries. And feeding 8 billion people is one of humanity's oldest challenges. But the tools available to agriculture for farmers has never been more powerful, but unequally distributed. Smallholder farmers across Asia produce a significant share of the region's food, yet often lack access to the data, technology, and market connections that could transform their livelihoods. This segment shines a light on startups closing the gap by bringing precision agriculture, digital advisory, and market intelligence to the people who need it the most. This segment features startups and social enterprises backed by the UNDP SDG Venture Scaler Program, run in partnership with CIIP, the Rockefeller Foundation, and CoAccess. So, I would like to invite to the stage Swamya Venkatesan, the Executive Director of DGV.
Thank you, Zach. Good morning, everyone. India is using digital public infrastructure to democratize credit in the form of RBI's ULI, Unified Lending Interface, for 80 million small and marginal farmers. And we're very, very proud to state that 95% of the dairy loans that are done on ULI are powered by DGV. 70% of dairy farmers in India are women, just like Mrs. Jagdia, for whom dairy income is vital. For her, unlike her other crops, dairy provides income security, cash flow, and a safety net in case her crop fails. For her, formal credit is too far from home, cumbersome, and even if she gets it, it's too little, that too with a collateral. For a lender, it is very important and critical that they are not refinancing. The ticket size needs to make economic sense, and it needs to serve the priority sector. For an insurer, the key consideration is if the animal is unique, healthy, and if it is a genuine claim that has been put forward. For a dairy processor, having invested in a large infrastructure, the key consideration for them is milk security, whether in terms of quality or quantity. At DGV, we have solved all these problems by building India's largest integrated fintech, insurtech, and marketplace of solutions for the dairy farmer. DGV is a vertical play in a horizontal market. It's a solution built for purpose, where we are across 325,000 villages in India and have a base of more than 1 million farmers. We are a technology company with in-house technology team working on AI, ML, deep tech. We use milk pouring data to underwrite collateral-free loans for the dairy farmers. And right now, we are, all our business verticals are revenue positive. We have grown by 123% year on year. We are just 4 to 5 months away from a break even, and we are here looking for our next equity raise. So if you're looking for a growth fund, please come and contact us. Thank you.
Next on stage, we have Zung Niang, the co-founder and CEO of N-Farm Agritech.
Good morning. I would like to start with one number, 60%. That is how much applied fertilizer on average to plants. It becomes 120 billion US wasted every year, become degraded soil, polluted water, and 2.6 gigatons of CO2 emissions. And the bad news is it's getting worse. Decades of over-application have broken the soil ability to hold nutrients, so plants absorb less and farmers apply more, which degrade the soil further. So for 550 million smallholder farms around the world, this is their daily challenge. And the climate change have made their generation of farming experience irrelevant. Yet, the two built to help were designed for large Western farms. And this is exactly where N-Farm is here to change. Our promise is simple: grow more with less and save the planet. We combine IoT and AI technology to put this little soil lab in the hand of every farmer. We are the only affordable device in the world that can detect plant-available NPK and other soil health indicators, so that help the farmers to increase yield as high as 30% with 30% less fertilizer. So they earn more income and they make the soil more healthy and they protect our planet. And it's not just a sensor, it's a decision system. Our control trial farm in central Vietnam have proved the result, and we surveyed durian farmers who use Ant Farm that for every 1 kilogram of NPK, they can achieve 70% more yield than non-user. So how are we ready to serve the world of smallholder farms? We reach to them using online channels. We consult them with our telesales team, and we send to them 90% of our customers install this product by themselves, so that it's very easy to use. So what it really means that for every right this season, the soil recovers, the crops thrive, the children shine in school, the carbon stay in the ground. So we are here to raise funds and find strategic partners so that we can really bring this decision to the world, making the world a better place for farmers, for all of us, a greener environment, and food security for our society. Thank you so much.
Next, we have Rikin Gandhi, CEO of Digital Green.
Hi, I'm Rikin Gandhi, co-founder of Digital Green. Digital Green is a not-for-profit that uses AI to help farmers grow more food. In rural India, in Andhra Pradesh, a woman farmer, Sunita, has been growing chili for many months. And a few weeks ago, she saw her crops covered by whiteflies. The leaves were curling, and she was seeing the chili dying and her investment disappearing in an instant. Sunita didn't know who to turn to for help. Sunita's story is not unique. For the world's 500 million farmers who grow the world's food, many farmers don't know where to turn when things go wrong. Sunita, though, took her phone out of her pocket and took out the Farmer Chat application that we build, which is an AI assistant for farmers like her. She took a photo of a damaged chili leaf and within seconds learned that it was caused by aphids, got a natural remedy, and a few weeks later, she was able to save her harvest from destruction. Farmer Chat works in local language, voice, text, and images, and is not a generic chatbot, but rather is tuned to the local agricultural science and context of farmers like Sunita, where farmers like her are able to triage issues ranging from pest management to being able to adapt to a changing climate. An independent study commissioned by the Rockefeller Foundation here in the room found that 70% of farmers in 45 days applied a new practice that they learned from Farmer Chat. And instead of the government in-person training programs that cost $50 to $100 per farmer per year, we're able to do this for less than 70 cents. What excites me most is that these farmers don't need to wait for help. They're able to triage issues on demand. Sunita didn't have to wait for an agronomist to show up. She was able to get the right information at the right moment in her local language. India alone has 120 million farmers, and there's millions more across Southeast Asia who are in need with the twin crisis of fertilizer shortages and that massive El Nino effect this year. Please join us in being able to scale Farmer Chat and make farmers like Sunita be able to uplift themselves and aspire for their own futures. Thank you so much.
And I'd like to welcome all the other startups back on stage. But Rikin, as you're here, maybe we'll start with you. Agricultural practices vary significantly by region. How do you ensure AI-generated recommendations stay accurate across local conditions?
It's really critical to make sure that these AI systems don't hallucinate. And we look at the actual questions that farmers ask in their local languages with photos and employ local agronomists and veterinarians who review the AI-generated responses, make fixes, and through reinforcement learning and fine-tuning of small language models are able to align these systems better to the local context and seasons in which these farmers operate.
Thank you. So, precision agriculture often works well for large farms. What adaptations were needed to make the model work for smallholder farmers here in Southeast Asia?
I think there's 2 points that make it work. Number one is affordability, right? The similar product in US, it costs $30,000 or $10,000. We cost less than $300 US. The second thing is have to be so simple to use. Even my 4-year-old boy can do that at home with the plants. So everyone can use it, right? So that they can easily adopt at the small scale farm.
Swamia, what has been the biggest challenge in encouraging dairy cooperatives and farmers to shift from traditional payment systems to digital finance?
That's a very interesting question. Essentially, it's not a behavior issue. It's essentially, when you're looking at a country as large as India, right? You're looking at where, in terms of digital stack, where the country is getting to become extremely digital, where your identity is digital, your payments have become digital, and then now credit is becoming digital. When you're moving towards an economy like that, you're talking about scale. And that is the biggest challenge. And that is also their biggest strength, I must say so. Because if you imagine if you've been able to kind of monetize a system as large as India, then every other country would be far, far simple. Right. So in terms of the actual challenge, I would say it's the scale in terms of India than anything else.
Thank you. And a round of applause for the startups. Now, I would like to invite onto stage to Sarah Cragg, the head of Asia for the Earthshot Prize.
Good morning. It's my great honor to introduce you to the Earthshot Prize and some of our finalists. So founded in 2020 by Prince William, the Earthshot Prize was built on a deceptively simple idea that the best way to tackle the hardest planetary challenges is to face them head on, and to face them with urgency and optimism. That equation, urgency plus optimism equals action, is not a slogan, it's our blueprint. And in just 5 years, it's had an extraordinary impact. We have 75 finalists from all over the world who we support. And these finalists have protected over 1 million hectares of land and ocean. They've brought species back from the brink of extinction. They've delivered clean power to hundreds of millions of people and raised $500 million in investment. They have cleaned the air. They've removed tens of millions of pieces of plastic, of single-use plastic, and they've lifted communities up that are often forgotten. Today, we are proud to bring you 3 of those finalists. And they're 3 of our finalists from Asia. We've got Coast from 4C, who is from Australia and the Philippines. And then we've got S4S Technologies and Fool from India. Each of them represents something much larger than a single innovation. They are proof, living, breathing, scalable proof that we have the solutions we need and that they already exist. What they need now is partnerships, capital, and the kind of networks in this room. None of what you see happens without the sort of partners who believe deeply in this. So I'd like to say and extend my deep and sincere thanks to Temasek Trust. Without their commitment to catalyzing solutions, for a more sustainable and equitable world, we wouldn't all be here today. And it makes moments like this possible, so thank you. But we're just getting started. Later this year, we'll be taking the Earthshot Prize to Mumbai. We are going to where we find the most solutions. We've been to Singapore already, and we're really excited by the amazing solutions coming out of India. And we're building a truly worldwide coalition for change. 2030 is on the horizon. And we are approaching it not with anxiety, but with unstoppable exponential momentum. I hope you're inspired by everything you see today. And I ask you to ask yourself one question. How can you help to scale these innovations? But this isn't about hope. It's what urgent optimism looks like. Thank you.
Please welcome to the stage Dr. Vaibhav Tidke, the co-founder and CEO of S4S Technologies.
Hi, good morning. My name is Dr. Vaibhav Tidke. I am a CEO and co-founder at S4S Technologies. When we look at climate change in general, we think about energy and transport. But one of the biggest drivers for climate change is food itself. Almost 10% of world's greenhouse gases are emitted to the food losses. At S4S, we really look at how food losses can be converted into a value-added product. S4S has created a farm-gate solar food processing platform where we convert surplus and not so good-looking food into a food ingredient thing. These foods are nutrition-rich and also consumed at a B2B level. Our platform is basically built on the 4 pillars. The first pillar is we train farmers about how to grow nutrition-rich fruits, moving from traditional cereals to millets, fruits, vegetables, and makhana. The second platform is basically a food processing platform where women farmers convert the surplus food products into more of a B2B food ingredients. The third layer of our pillar is basically a nutrition recipes where B2B food ingredient companies are trained of creating a nutrition-rich food products using our partnership with National Institute of Nutrition. And lastly, we work with over 2,500 food processing companies to use these nutrition-dense food products into daily recipes. In doing so, we are able to work with almost 400,000 farmers in India. 10,000 women entrepreneurs are working at a farm gate to convert this food into more of a food ingredient. And lastly, at an organization level, we are able to generate almost $50 million annual revenue. We are looking at working with various food partners, philanthropic organizations, and institutes to take our model forward into various geographies and various crops. We believe that the future of food processing is decentralized, is women-led, and also impacting nutritious-rich food to millions of people globally. One of our story is with Anita, which is one of the women farmers that we are working with. Initially, when she started working with us, she was basically a woman farmer working in a village, not owning any assets. When she joined S4S model, we are able to leverage a bank financing with State Bank of India, one of the largest public sector bank for her. And that allowed her to purchase the solar food processing setup, create a livelihood for her. Today, her income has doubled down, 100% growth. Now she leads not only her family, but also more than 50 women farmers in her village has joined to the initiative. We see that these initiatives that we are working with has a deep impact on the food ecosystem in general. We look forward for collaboration and partnership. Thank you.
Next up, Ankit Agarwal, the CEO and founder of Pool.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ankit. When I was 16 years old, I came across a population, large, suffering, but still invisible. I came across manual scavenging. Every single day, India's 1.6 million manual scavengers jump neck deep into clogged sewers and scrape human feces from dry toilets. Then they keep it upon their heads to finally walk kilometers to dispose of the excreta. It's a very big taboo. No one wants to talk about this subject, and my community is treated as untouchables. I promised I will change this. Years later, I founded Fool. At Fool, we collect waste flowers from temples that would otherwise be dumped into water bodies like the river Ganges, loaded with pesticides, polluting India's holiest rivers. We convert these flower waste into the world's first charcoal-free incense sticks and the alternate to animal leather called Fleather. Fleather is completely vegan, completely plastic-free. We can engineer it to give you the hand feel of animal leather, any kind of tensile strength. Think of ostrich, buff, or even snake leather. We today collect around 32 tons of flour every single day. employ more than 500 women full-time, have more than 350,000 paying customers, and we are expanding fast. My work is not just about cleaning waste on the lands, but it is also about cleaning what our earlier generations have done. I'll quickly tell you about Prema. When we started working way back in 2017, one day Prema started distributing sweets in the factory. And I asked her what happened. And she then told me she bought a refrigerator on EMI. I asked her, you've already taken a loan, why are you distributing sweets? She then told me the place where she used to clean the toilets when she was young, 19 years old, the owners didn't give her water at that point in time because they didn't want her to touch their utensils. So at that point in time, she decided someday she will have her own refrigerator. After working with Fool for about 6 months, she was able to save enough money to not only buy that refrigerator, she said that this morning, my so-called upper class neighbors came and had water from my refrigerator. Now my kids are equal to their kids and I can die peacefully. So it's not just about cleaning waste on the lands, but also cleaning about earlier generations. Hi, I'm Ankit and I'm here to look for partners who can help us pilot Flether. Thank you.
And finally, Nicholas Hill, CEO and co-founder, Coast for Sea.
So let's demystify seaweed. Seaweed is already in products we use every day: toothpaste, cosmetics, pharmaceuticals, pet food. And thanks to some amazing processing innovations, we can now use seaweed to make more sustainable alternatives in clothing and in packaging. The big problem facing global processors are where is the future supply of seaweed going to come from? Without a scalable, reliable supply of quality seaweed, those sustainable industries simply cannot thrive. Now, within the vast space of seaweeds, the tropical red seaweeds are super exciting. They grow very fast, almost all year round. They are one of the most cultivated groups of seaweed species on the planet, and they provide critical gender-equitable livelihood opportunities in vulnerable coastal communities. But their potential remains untapped. The supply chain is highly fragmented, and farmers cannot get access to the services they need, so their farms are underproductive, underutilized, and often unsustainable. I'm Nick Hill, co-founder and CEO of Coast for Sea, and for the last 20 years, I've been working in coastal communities since doing my PhD in seaweed farming livelihoods, helping to try and solve this problem. Now, at the center of this are people like Marites. When we first met her, she had been farming for 30 years, but had been unable to generate any savings, and her farm was producing huge quantities of marine plastic pollution. So at Coast for Sea, we redesigned the system. We've integrated the value chain, and we provide services to farmers like Marites, such as inputs, technologies, finance, that enable them to transition to regenerative and more productive practices. We buy back that seaweed at premium, contingent on meeting social, environmental, and quality criteria, and that enables us to turn a fragmented supply chain into a traceable, scalable system for global processors. The results have been powerful. Already, we're supplying the equivalent to global processors of around 800 tons of fresh weight seaweed per month. And for those farmers like Marites that we've transitioned, we're seeing increase in their production of up to tenfold with 25% improvement in quality. So Marites is now able to generate savings for the first time in her life. We're also, for the ocean, in targeted areas, we've been increasing coastal protection 45-fold, restoring marine biomass, and helping to restore natural defenses. So we're super proud to be an Earthshot Prize finalist in 2024. And now as we scale, we're looking for philanthropic and commercial partnerships that will help us to grow the number of farm input packages, the amount of ocean that's protected, and to diversify our customer base. Because this isn't just about building supply. This is about building a more regenerative system that restores the ocean and enables coastal communities and global industries to thrive together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nick. And I would like to welcome the other startups back on stage. But Nick, as you're here, we'll start a first question with you. Seaweed is starting to gain attention as a climate solution, but what do you think is still missing for regenerative seaweed to scale globally?
It's a great question. So it is getting a lot of attention as a climate piece. I think there's a bit of controversy around the carbon side of it. But to really scale it up, I think anything you do at scale has the potential to have less than positive impacts on the planet. So what we really need to do is seaweed needs to be de-risked for the farmers, for the market. And one really good way to do that is integrate it with coastal protection. So you're providing a safe, healthy space to grow that seaweed.
Thank you. Vaibhav, I'll ask you next. As you scale, how do you ensure value stays with farmers and micro-entrepreneurs instead of shifting upstream in the supply chain?
Surely. So basically, when at S4S we look at value creation, we look from the two different angles. Number one, for farmers, they earn extra money by not going the waste of a food loss. So traditionally, a lot of food goes waste. In S4S model, that food can be converted to food ingredients. So by doing so, the value is captured for the farmer. That is typically 15%, 20% extra premium they earn. When it comes to the women entrepreneurs, which are doing the solar food processing business, they earn extra money by doing the work of a food processing. And in the whole process, what we have done, because we have switched from a traditional coal-based processing to a solar-based processing, we cut down practically energy cost to zero. And that extra energy cost saving that is created is basically deployed to the women entrepreneurs. So on farmer side, they earn extra income because the food losses are reduced. Women entrepreneurs earn extra income because they are doing a value addition at a farm gate and also using a renewable energy. So these two things ensure that the model itself is intact even if we scale. Thank you.
And Ankit, you transform cultural waste streams like temple flowers, but they're deeply local. So how do you scale a model built around a highly context-specific resource?
Okay. So at heart, what we do is material science. What we love to do is convert materials into something useful. In the context of temple flowers, what we've been able to successfully do is use the cultural context as a story which helps us market the product very well. But the heart is still a cellulose conversion company, so we can take anything under the sun which has cellulose and convert into our materials.
Wonderful. Thank you. A round of applause for the startups from the Earthshot Prize. Now, I would like to invite on stage Sean O'Sullivan, the Managing General Partner of SOSV.
Thank you. All right, SOSV. So actually, this is an introduction to some of our Singaporean deep tech companies that are going to be coming out next. But we actually already had two of our SOSV companies in the last segment on textiles, Novaloop with Miranda and let's see, totally blanding. Oh yeah, Walden from Unspun. Thank you. So just in terms of the context of why VCs exist, we are here to try to find technology that the world needs and try to invest this capital to bring this across the world. It's like the quote from William Gibson. The future is already here, it's just not evenly distributed. And if VCs are doing a good job, what we do is we help make breakthrough ideas, breakthrough engineering available more affordably to everyone in the world who needs it. And when we think about the challenges that the world faces right now, particularly with climate change, the average human being consumes about 15,000 pounds of manufactured or processed products every year. That's right, about somewhere close to about 100 times your body weight in manufactured or processed products. That includes the 8,000 pounds of fuel the average person uses to heat their house or fly in planes or whatever, but it also includes thousands of pounds of food, textiles, the clothing that we wear, the materials we build for our houses, etc. So when we think about really making an impact as the world's population has grown to 8 billion people on how this 15,000 pounds of product, 8 billion people you could see the challenge that we have unless we change our means of manufacturing. It's adding to our global warming. And I'm going to introduce you to 3 companies, 2 of which are working on that global warming problem. In general, using biological processes or new scientific breakthroughs, we can actually reduce the means of production. There's really 2 ways we can eliminate global warming. One is just stop eating or kill off like 2/3 of the population. The other way is to actually live with abundance but reimagine how we build these products sustainably. So biology is a great way to do this, and many other means are done that can, and you'll see 3 of these approaches, 2 of them in human, 1 of them in human health and 2 in planetary health. And I welcome you to see these 3 companies: Sepure, Sequential, and Vertical Oceans. Thank you.
All right. Welcome to the stage, Mohammed Farhini, founder and CEO of Sepure.
Hello, everyone. For hundreds of years, industry is using a method called distillation to separate and purify chemicals. Distillation is extremely energy intensive. In order to separate chemicals, you have to boil them and evaporate them and then cool down again. So in fact, in many factories, half of the energy consumption of the whole plants goes to this process called distillation. And Sepure is changing that. I'm Mohammed Farahani. I'm founder and CEO of Sepure. At Sepure, we've developed a chemical-resistant nanofiltration membrane that is able to do the same job, but at much lower energy consumption. So you just need to pump the chemical mixtures to the filter, and our filters has nano-sized pores that just let some of the small molecules to pass through, and then the larger one cannot pass through, and that's how you separate them. But guess, you don't need any heating or cooling. So this way you reduce the energy consumption and emissions by 90%, and you can make the process 50% more economical. So the result is more savings for our customers, less emissions, and a much more sustainable way of doing the process. So the good news is this is not just a lab concept anymore. So we've developed the technology at NUS. Later we started the company, commercialized the technology, and we implement it at industrial scale. In fact, we have 10 million liters of solvent passing through our filters currently in some of the industrial projects that we've demonstrated. And we are working with global customers in food and pharmaceutical industry, including Fuji Oil, Nissin Oilio, and BASF, and many more to implement this technology. We are scaling this to 150 million liters of solvent annually for one of our customers. And the early result shows that we are able to reduce the energy consumption and emissions for that process by 70%, making the process 40% less expensive to run, 40% saving on the OPEX. So as you know, the industries are not just adopting technologies because they're greener. They adopt them because the economics make sense. And the good news is we do both. So the market opportunity is huge. You can use this technology in industries like food, pharmaceutical, semiconductor, chemical industry, wherever you have solvents to operate. And in those industries, 80% of the processes are solvent-based. So we've so far raised over 20 million Sing dollar. We've a lot of commercial contracts across Asia, Europe, and North America. And we've built the first dedicated manufacturing line to produce these organic solvent nanofiltration membranes right here in Singapore. So our vision is very clear. We want to be the global leader for low-cost, low-energy chemical separation. And if distillation defined the last century of chemical separation, we believe membrane technology will define the next, and Sepure is going to lead that. Thank you so much.
Okay. Next on stage, Albert Dashi, co-founder and CEO of Sequential.
Good morning. Her name is Maria. She was part of our clinical study. Atopic dermatitis is a disease that is inflaming many parts of the body, And he follows her in the room, he follows her in the pictures and everywhere. She has visited many dermatologists, and they always looked at what they see. They assume what they visually perceive and the experience tells us. And it's always very inconclusive. Her treatment was always based on assumption. We can observe it, we can see it, we can give you this, and we see, we try if it works. But this is not sufficient. There are more people like Maria. There are 1 billion of people that have inflammatory diseases. And there are 90% of these people that don't have a molecular diagnosis, something that you can look into the skin and find what is the problem. And in Southeast Asia, there is 700 million of people that have a unique skin type, and there is no data. Until now, I'm Albert Darshi, Chief Scientific Officer and co-founder of Sequential. We have developed a new technology, a simple patch that is applied on the skin, 10 seconds, taken at home, shipped to our lab. No clinic, no needle. Non-invasive approach is the solution we want to go. This, once comes back, it can give you a full portrait of your skin, the skin profiler, your microbiome that lives in the skin, and gives you what really triggers your skin. And that's what we found with Maria. It's not a prototype, it's a proof. We have used it in 200 different studies. We work with 100 different clients, public and private. We have more than 50,000 different samples and data available. This solution wants to be accessible to everyone, not only to Maria. We want to make sure that this is also a good opportunity to scale faster and have it accessible to everyone, especially in Southeast Asia where there is no data available for this type of conditions. Philanthropist reaches for people where market hasn't found yet. So we want this patient to have this accessible. Be the person that can provide this solution and give the science and the answers that they wanted. But also, be the person that can bring this technology to countries that don't have it or don't even know about it. This is Sequential. Let's work together to help people like Maria to bring this technology and then give her the answers and the treatment that people wish to have. Thank you again.
Welcome to the stage, Enzo Ackerby, co-founder and CTO of Virtual Oceans.
All right, thank you. So we need to urgently save one of the world's most loved seafood, prawns. The current farming production systems for prawns all around the world are failing or doing very poorly. They are affected by disease, they are not very profitable, and they are polluting the environment a lot in many different ways as they produce. The result of that is a product, prawn, that is full of preservative, that has been grown using all sorts of antibiotics, and that in general is a product of a quality that you wouldn't feel confident to give to your own children. At Vertical Oceans, we design and operate a system that works with nature rather than against nature. We make biology predictable and clean. This is the system that we operate here in Singapore. We grow prawns in these autonomous grow-out tanks, the blue one that you see there at my back. They run by themselves. There's no human intervention. We call them intelligent habitats. Intelligent because the intelligent algorithms, they control all the aquatic environment's parameters to ensure that the prawns are always in the best possible environment, which benefits their health and their quality. The result is what you also see at my back. Those are our prawns. That's a real color. There's no colorant used. It's a supreme quality made of, you can consider it almost organic, okay? You can find it anywhere. Our system replicates a natural ecosystem because we clean the water that we use to grow the prawns using macroalgae. So we recreate an oceanic ecosystem where we have zero waste and we don't even discharge the water. People in Singapore say that our product is outstanding. We harvest in the morning and we serve it to you just in time for lunch. We are scaling up the production of our Singapore facility to cover 80 metric tons of prawns per year, which is more than enough to cover and supply 300 restaurants in Singapore. You'll soon find us in all the major retail chains, or you can buy online at shop.verticaloceans.blue. We have a harvest tomorrow. We are now starting our Series C to raise funds to fund our expansion in the US and in Europe to build facilities that are 10 to 20 times bigger than the size of the one that we operate in Singapore. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Enzo. And I'd like to invite both the other startups onto stage as well. But Enzo, we'll start with you. As seafood demand rises globally, do you think land-based aquaculture can realistically complement or replace traditional farming methods?
Eventually, yes. Essentially because those production systems that I described just now, they are only getting worse and worse. Poor survival, poor profitability for the farmers, and those diseases that are affecting them are just going to get worse with climate change. So eventually, they won't be able to keep up with an increasing prawn demand globally that keeps on increasing, and the production system keeps on being less and less efficient. So eventually, it will need to be land-based. But creating a land-based system that is really profitable and works at scale requires to rethink entirely how things should be done. That's why we restarted from first principle and we designed a perfect system from scratch. That's why you see our system, it doesn't look like any existing RAS system, recirculating aquaculture system that you might have seen before, because it fundamentally redesigns aquaculture.
Thank you. Mohammed, since CEPure improves efficiency in existing industrial systems, do you see the biggest opportunity in completely replacing legacy infrastructure or integrating into it gradually?
Okay, so if it's a greenfield project, so building it with membrane from the scratch would be the ideal option. But for the existing infrastructure that already is there, so we can actually nicely fit in without major redesign. So basically, it helps our customer to just have the existing system operating, and we just make it a lot more efficient with embedding our technology in the middle of their process.
And Albert, as industrial sustainability matures, where do you see the greatest bottleneck? Is it financing, infrastructure, or market readiness?
What we have seen and experienced is market readiness. Right now, our biggest work and clients that we have, but also profitability, comes from Europe and United States. The market is hot and ready for a technology like ours. But Southeast Asia, it's growing, but it's really slow, and we wanted to push that quite extensively.
Thank you. A round of applause for the startups from SOSV. Our second keynote in this program features Tencent. Please note that this keynote will be delivered in Chinese, and to please refer to the screens by the stage for the English translation. Dr. Xiao Liming serves as the Vice President of Tencent Sustainable Social Value, Secretary General of the Tencent Charity Foundation. A leader in social innovation, Xiao focuses on leveraging Tencent's core technological strengths to create tangible social value. Please welcome Dr. Xiao Liming.
这里的各位嘉宾、各位朋友，还是得用中文啊，不好意思啊。非常开心啊，能够在这儿做一个分享。过去几年啊，我们越来越清晰地看到一个趋势，全球正在进入一个社会创新的加速器。根据联合国的数据啊，到2023年，全球有超过 60%的青年人将生活在亚洲和非洲。与此同时啊，未来新增的大部分数字化人口也将来自发展中的地区。这就意味着很多新的社会问题会首先在这些地方出现，而很多新的解决方案也将可能会在这儿率先生长出来。这些年，作为全球领先的数字科技企业，腾讯也一直在思考，一家科技公司除了技术和产品之外，还能够如何参与社会创新。我们的一个重要方向就是帮助全球更多的青年、社区和社会企业获得数字时代的发展能力与数字链接能力。今天到了咱们这个创新时期，我最大的感受是，创新正在越来越深地进入社会领域，成为回应真实问题的一种方式。就像在座的各位，有人在改善教育，有人在推动绿色能源，有人在探索更普惠的金融服务，也有人在重新链接人与社区之间的关系。通过大家，我也看到很多真正有生命力的创新，往往都诞生于问题最真实、需求最迫切的地方。所以，下面我想跟大家分享一个案例。去年啊，我在非洲坦桑尼亚双吉巴尔岛见到了2个非洲的年轻人，我现在还记得他们的名字，一个叫伊克拉特，一个叫哈马迪。当地的旅游业特别发达，在那儿我们能够见到很多东欧的人在那儿度假，但我们也看到那儿有很多的农村的年轻人很难进入到这个市场，进入到这个产业链，只能从事收入不高、附加值有限的工作。基于此啊，我们把我们在中国对乡村、对青年发展的一个经验，我们把它拓展成一个全球的计划。我们在中国政府的支持下，我们把它叫全球南方青年新乡培育计划。他们这2个人就是我们的第一批的学员。我们第一批在坦桑尼亚、乌干达，我们找了30名学员，向他来到了中国。他们的首站就是来到了腾讯。他们在腾讯学习了1个礼拜，腾讯的很多高管去给他讲授腾讯的商业、腾讯的企业文化、腾讯的数字技术。后来他们还到了我们的项目，在中国做的很多乡村的项目点，他们跟中国的学员进行了深度的交流，他们也看到了中国项目给他带来的这些变化。后来他们回到了非洲，他们把在中国学习的这些经验，很可惜啊，没有太多的数字化技术，更多的是商业带给他的经验，带动了他在当地的发展。我们能看到很好的数据。我们的学员他在当地从事农业，就是中国的这种栽培的技术，从事农业，他能够对接到那些在双吉巴尔的酒店，他的产值很快就达到了1万美金1年的这种收益。他还把中国还有一个小故事，他把在中国云南的一个乡村吃到的这个木瓜，就是他从来没有见过的，他觉得特别好吃，他就吃完木瓜以后，他就把木瓜的种子把它晾干，他带回到了双吉巴尔岛。完了，他在双吉巴尔岛种了很大一片的这个木瓜，像我们很诧异，我们什么这个岛上有这么多木瓜。后来他说要感谢腾讯，感谢中国的教授。他说我把种子带到双吉巴尔给他种下了，种了一大片木瓜出来。这就是这种通过这种学习，通过这种打开眼界带来的这个很大的变化。所以他们也讲，以前他们觉得机会就在别人的城市里，现在我们开始觉得机会 也可以在自己的这个土地上生长出来。我一直记得这句话，因为很多时候真正改变一个社区的，并不只是外部带来了什么，更重要的，本地的人开始相信自己也能创造更好的、更美好的未来。所以通过这个案例，我觉得吧，社会创新真正重要的，并不只是技术本身，而是推动创新持续成长的发动机。那在这个发动机里面，我们觉得有3个比较好的要素。第一个就是人的能力，刚刚我讲到，就是这个人的能力，人的打开眼界的能力。第二个就是社区自身的力量。今天我们在现场能看到很多项目都有一个共同的特点，他们不是从外部带来答案，而是从社区真实的需求出发。比如 Digital Green 正在帮助小农户获得更多的本地化、实时化的农业信息与种植技术。这其实并不仅仅是在做农业技术的传播，它是在帮社区建立面对面对气候变化与思想变化的这种韧性。第3个就是数字技术带来的链接与流动。今天这个世界并不缺乏技术，而且 AI 的产生更在跟这个世界、跟社会创新带来更多的这种机会。未来的社会创新很重要的一件事，就是像知识和经验和技术能够更加自由的流动，不是单向的输出，而是彼此的学习，共同成长。所以最后的话，我还特别想跟大家讲一个案例。去年我还去了非洲，去了坦桑尼亚，去了这个乞力马扎罗山脚下的马赛人的部落。大家都知道马赛人，那一个比较触动的，对男人比较触动的，就是一个马赛的男人能够找好多老婆啊。所以我们能够在那儿看到围成一圈的土房子里面，很多的妻子跟一个男人在一起啊。这个不是最重要的，更重要的，我是去了马赛人的集市，在那儿还不是物跟钱币的交易，还是物跟物的交易。所以有人能拿一头牛去跟人家换一头羊，换更多的这些物品。那在过去，这就是原始社会。但是我在那儿看到了一个很奇怪的现象，有一个马赛人的年轻人，竟然穿着我们中国人的衣服。为什么是中国人？因为他的衣服后背上面有4个大字：美团外卖。我当时很诧异，我说是不是这个美团外卖怎么都能卖到马赛人去？所以我把他拍了一张照片，我就发给了这个美团公司，也是我们生态圈的副总裁凯蒂。我说你猜猜这是在哪儿？他猜不出来。实际上是中国的物资的捐赠到了马赛部落，他只是穿上捐赠的这个物资。所以当时我们就有一个想法，所以我们在我们全球新乡青年培育的项目里面，我们一定要找一个马赛人来参加我们的学习，只要他懂外语就行。所以在我们第2期的这个学员里面，就大家看到的这个图片，就真的来了一个马赛人他不是我们见到圈美团外卖的这个马赛人，这是一个会讲英语的这个马赛人。所以他在去年12月3号，他在北京参加了我们的 S 大会，就是中国的可持续社会价值创新大会。这是他第一次从马赛出国坐飞机来到了中国，这也是他第一次看到了中国的人造机器人，所以他很诧异，所以他就去伸手去摸这个玉树机器人。我们的摄影师就很敏锐地拍下了这张照片。实际上我说这是一个原始人跟一个未来人的时空的接触，这也是技术和商业 带来巨大的改变。我们也希望，腾讯也希望，包括中国，包括很多的我们做企业公益的也希望，我们就是未来能够用 AI， 用更好的技术，更生态的方法，更系统的解决方法，来推动社会创新的发展。谢谢，申克勇。
Thank you so much, Dr. Xiao, for that enthusiastic and energetic keynote. So, what happens after food is grown, processed, packaged, and consumed? That's where circular economies come in. Food systems are responsible for 1/3 of global greenhouse gas emissions, and yet we waste nearly 1/3 of all food produced. Packaging adds another layer of harm. This segment includes companies from and supported by the Amplifier Program Tourism Track, the Livability Challenge by Temasek Foundation, the Swissre Foundation, UNDP SDG Venture Scaler Program in partnership with CIIP. So each startup represents a different node in the food materials value chain. Up first, we have the co-founder of Tree Dots, Tyler Jong.
It's close to lunchtime, and I'm sure many of you are thinking about what's for lunch. I'm not too sure how many of you are thinking about the amount of resources required to get the food to the table, or the food waste that occurs along the supply chain. My name is Tyler. I'm the co-founder of Tree Dots, and we tackle the colossal problem of food waste and food loss. About 1/3 of all food that is being produced never gets eaten. South and Southeast Asian region accounts for or has the second largest food loss rate. However, in this region, up to 80% of food that's being wasted isn't the food that you see at households. It isn't the food you see at buffet lines, but it's actually uncooked food that is actually in surplus or imperfect. Some of these food losses include surplus chicken breasts. It includes bruised chickens. It also includes undersized and oversized chicken drumsticks. At Tree Dots, we are a B2B e-commerce distribution channel for these imperfect, edible, and unsold inventory. We are a Series B company that distributes these imperfect products to food establishments. We have a revenue of about $50 million last year. We operate across 3 countries, 20 cities: Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore. We have a very efficient business model because of these 3 things. We've got 8 apps we built in-house, 7 AI agents deployed across our business, and 50 industry-specific features that we've built in-house. Our mission is to pave the way for the future of the food supply system. So hit me up if you're interested in what we do, or you're interested in funding our business. Thank you.
Now, welcome Max Mandias, COO of Green Rebel.
Thank you, Zal. Hello, everybody. So, Southeast Asia is the fastest growing meat market in the world, worth over $80 billion. Right? But today, there are big problems. Okay, so global conflicts and supply chain disruptions are actually making the price of animal meat volatile and skyrocketing. And for every hotelier, restaurant owner, or caterer, this is actually a direct hit to their bottom line. Right? So second, we have a massive fiber gap issue. Only 3% of us actually get enough fiber. So this leads to an alarming increase in diseases like stroke, cardiovascular, cancer, and diabetes. Third, our increasing appetite for meat is actually causing environmental degradation and climate crisis. And you know, in the company, we used to think that people really care about health or the planet, right? But what we learned that in Southeast Asia, when it comes to food, what they care about most is taste and cost. So to nourish the mass within planetary boundaries, we actually don't need a premium lab-grown burger. We need a protein that is cheaper. So that's why we built Green Rebel. Yeah, so we are a food tech startup specializing in plant proteins. Okay, so we obviously make tasty, healthy, and most importantly, cheaper food than animal meat. So we use whole foods like mushrooms and soy to create what we call economical protein. This economical protein has 20 grams of protein, 5 grams of fiber, less saturated fat, and 0% cholesterol. We operate as a B2B2C engine. So this means we act as the protein source of some of the brands that consumers already love, like AirAsia or IKEA, helping them to actually lower their emissions and protecting their margins, right? And this economical protein is also often mixed with animal meat by our clients and helping them to cut food costs by 30 to 50%. So that was one of the solutions that we thought about. And secondly, we thought about something else. We looked at our Indonesian heritage, and actually the solution was right there all along. Actually, it was tempe, right? We have reinvented this local Indonesian staple into hygienic long shelf life protein. Normally, tempe is something you put in a chiller and spoils fast, but we have made it into an ambient solution that can have 1 year shelf life. We're already in 2,000 distribution points, including national hotel chains like Accor, Swiss Band, and Art Hotel. And actually, by making our products cheaper and ambient, we can serve Indonesia and Philippines archipelago more efficiently, because usually tourism is the primary activity and cold chain is very expensive or non-existent. So while we save our clients money, we also, of course, save the environment as well, cutting carbon emissions by 90%, right? So, and also we buy directly from local farmers. We're ready to scale this model across the region, and hopefully in this Philanthropy Asia Summit, we can meet hotel owners that wants to reduce food costs and emissions, and also investors that look for inclusive growth that we would love to talk to you. Thank you.
Please welcome Karen Chia, founder and CEO of AlterPacks.
Let's start with some good news. Research shows that the women in this room will outlive the men by at least 4 years. But regardless of gender, how are all of us aging? How are we looking at where we are spending trillions of dollars on wellness and health, and yet ignoring the forever chemicals that are seeping into our soil, our food, and our bloodstreams? I'm Karen, the founder and CEO of AlterPacks. We're an advanced materials startup transforming agricultural waste into a high-performance plant fiber material. No plastics, no coatings. If the Middle East crisis has taught us anything, it's our overdependence on petroleum. And every grease-proof, waterproof, non-stick pan you've come across would have a class of chemicals in them called PFAS. And these are forever chemicals. Why? Because they don't break down ever. This is a $1.3 billion industry. And what we're looking at is manufacturers are looking for alternatives because globally, countries and governments are acting against PFAS. You have Japan and Australia, and now the EU stopping 10,000 PFAS chemicals from going into food packaging by August of this year. And that's where AlterPacks comes in. This is the alternative. Made from upcycled spent wheat. It is 100% plant fiber, transformed agricultural waste that is able to go from freezer to microwave and oven up to 260 degrees Celsius. There is no plastics, no coating. The performance is embedded directly into the material itself. And what's just as good, it is a drop-in solution for manufacturers. They do not have to do any form of retooling. Since we started commercialization 3 years ago, AltaPax has served and produced over 2 million units of products across the Asia Pacific with 80% less carbon emissions than plastics, and worked with over 50 brand partners across hospitality, food service, and healthcare. These include the Grand Hyatt, Como, as well as Tan Tock Seng Hospital. Through the Amplifier program, we hope to find connections with tourism as well as hospitality partners so that we can accelerate the shift away from petroleum-based products, not just plastics, but also aluminum, as well as plastic-coated paper, because the future of materials need not be in forever plastics, but to keep you safe forever with a material of the future, AltaPax. Thank you.
Welcome to the stage, Didi Gan, founder and CEO of N&E Innovations.
Hi everyone, I'm Didi. I'm the founder of N&E Innovations. And do you guys know what this is? It's a cling film, but it's very different from the ones that you have in your house. And let me tell you why. Globally, we produce 2.5 billion metric tons of food waste, which emits 9.3 billion tons of greenhouse gases. At N&E Innovations, what we do is we upcycle agricultural waste material such as cashew nuts, banana peels, durian husks, and through a patented process, we turn them into the world's first edible antimicrobial compound, which could then be made into applications such as cling wraps. Our technology is the world's first antibacterial compostable cling films that not only imparts a 99.9% antibacterial properties to the food, helping to extend the shelf life of fresh produce, but at the same time is compostable within 180 days. We've achieved more than 3.8 million of sales to date, with more than 800,000 packaging sold in 5 countries. Our technology is a 90% B2B business model where we look for like-minded distributors around the world. But now we have a new model of licensing where we will sell raw materials to manufacturers around the world, license the technology in the plug-and-play model, and to distribute to more food manufacturers around the world. Join us on our mission of upcycling up to 10,000 tons of food waste by 2030 to create a more sustainable planet for the future generations. I started N&E because of my children, so N&E is the initials of my children, Nathaniel and Emma. We're really here to look for collaborators, distributors, as well as people who think that the technology of VCAN could be embedded into a whole range of different applications. So VCAN is a platform technology. We are only starting in the food systems, and we're actually able to embed that into all different other applications such as medical packaging, cosmetics, crops. So really look forward to meet anyone who wants to know more about our cling films and VCAN. Thank you, everyone.
Next on stage, Arkara Irfani, the founder and CEO of Bell Living Lab.
Check. Hello, everyone. My name is Arka. I'm the CEO and founder of Bell Living Lab. Bell Living Lab is a biomaterial company that focuses on converting organic waste into sustainable materials. This bag right here, this is made from coffee waste. So Indonesia is the 4th biggest producer of coffee in the world. We produce about 800,000 tons of coffee, and for each 1 kilogram of beans that we produce about 1 kilogram of waste. And that waste is being thrown away. Here at Bell, we collect that waste and convert it into sustainable materials. From the coffee skin, we convert it into MTEX, our ladle alternative. And then from the parchment and the coffee grounds, we convert it into seafoam, which is a furniture's panels that could be used as furnitures as seen in the presentations. And currently, we are producing about 500 square meters to 100,000 square meters of leather every month. We partner with designers, helping them to enter the global stage by providing sustainable materials. Our materials has already certified through USDA and also got G-Mark award from Japan. Currently, we also exhibiting with our designers in Salon de Mobile in Milan, helping them to enter the global stage. And for each products that we convert about 20 kilograms of waste for each products that we make. And currently we are hoping to scale. So currently we are producing based in Bandung, but we are already received profitability, and we aim to scale globally. We already have patent for the productions through PCT, so international patent, and are aiming to enter Australia and also Japan market. Here we are hoping that our materials can make change. Hopefully you can be partners for that. Thank you so much.
Now, please welcome Kenny Octavian, co-founder of Plana Wood.
Today, the world's construction still relies heavily on wood, driving deforestation and environmental damage. At the same time, millions of tons of plastic waste and agricultural waste remains underutilized, especially in Southeast Asia. At Plana, our mission is simple. We create woods without cutting down any trees. We transform rice husk and recycle plastic into durable and wood alternatives. It's a good wood alternatives. Our patented innovation, Plana Wood, outperforms conventional materials in strength, durability, and cost efficiency. What sets us apart is our focus on seamless adoption. We engineer our products to meet industry standards, integrate seamlessly into existing systems, and remain price competitive, making sustainable materials practical, not optional. Beyond environmental impacts, we also improve livelihoods by creating values from waste, generating additional income from farmers and waste collectors. We've already demonstrated tractions in high-profile projects such as the World Expo Osaka, Japan. We are expanding to markets like Korea, growing across Indonesia, and are supported by organizations such as Swiss Re, DBS, IKEA, and OCBC. Our business model focuses on B2B sales to developers, contractors, and designers. Backed by a team with expertise in material innovations and manufacturing and market expansions, we are positioned to scale effectively. Now, we are at the critical stage of growth. We're looking for strategic partners and impact investors who can help us scale production, unlock market access, and make sustainable materials the default choice in construction. Thank you.
Please welcome to the stage Stefano Chiasson, Director of Finance and Corporate Development, Ayrton Energy.
Good afternoon. The world needs more energy, safe, secure, reliable energy. Energy that is abundant and is available when and where you need it. And Ayrton is delivering on this promise by making hydrogen as easy as diesel. How do we do it? We've developed a proprietary electrochemical reactor that enables us to bind hydrogen to a carrier fluid. That carrier fluid can then be put into existing and low-cost infrastructure like tanks, trucks, trains, and ships. When you need the hydrogen again, we reverse the reaction and we recycle that carrier fluid over and over and over again. And this really unbottlenecks hydrogen because the barrier to adoption has not been supply and it's not been demand. It's been logistics, which comprise up to 70% of the cost of the delivered molecule. In fact, this is a $100 billion problem today and growing as hydrogen's applications continue to expand. not only in energy, but in existing use cases in industrial and manufacturing processes. In fact, around the world, hydrogen typically costs $4 to $10 a kilogram just to move. And we're reducing those costs by 80%, down to $2 a kilogram. We were honored to be selected as the winners of the Temasek Livability Challenge last year. That support and investment from Eastern Pacific Shipping, Clean Energy Ventures, and Antares Ventures has allowed us to continue to scale our technology. We are deploying version 2.0 of our system this year with a large Japanese conglomerate in California, and later in Hawaii with Hawaii Gas. We're a team of 23 individuals based in Calgary, Canada, a global energy hub. And we, like many of you, believe that energy is foundational to prosperity. If you feel that energy should be available to everyone, then I'd love to connect with you. Thank you very much.
Okay. I'd like to welcome all the startups back on stage for the Q&A. But Stefan, you're here, and we're going to start with you. So what do you think will be the key trigger for a wider commercial adoption of hydrogen logistics solutions?
Yeah, so we're really excited because there is a large existing market today in hydrogen logistics for industrial and manufacturing processes, and we're able to scale through that market. But what's exciting about what we do is we bring the cost of transportation down to a price point that makes it accessible for international trade flows. And so by using our technology, we can take advantage of existing infrastructure. We are opening up the pathway for hydrogen to be a fuel that's competitive with LNG on a cost basis, and that's what's really exciting.
Max, as the category matures, what will determine long-term success, better taste, lower price, or stronger sustainability awareness?
Of what mature? Sorry.
Well, what will determine your long-term success? Is it going to be better taste? Is it going to be a lower price? Or stronger sustainability awareness?
I think it's related to taste and cost, honestly. Yeah, because we, like, over the past 5 years, we have tried many different avenues, right? Like different solutions and all that, you know. And what we notice is that, you know, food is not something, even though it's food tech, food travels much slower, you know. You have to develop the culture and all that. You have to respect the local culture. And for that, familiarity needs to be in, you know, center in the solution. So product familiarity, localization at affordable price, and not like adamant in like demanding that it needs to be 100% exclusively plant-based. Like actually a lot of people, a lot of clients these days, they reach out to us and actually they mix it, you know, and more hybrid application. So, you know, I think we need to welcome these initiatives. Even though it's not the most perfect, I think it will be the future, and it will be also the success, future success determinants for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Arka, can I ask, your solution works with biomaterials. How do you balance material innovation with the challenge of integrating into existing manufacturing systems?
Yeah, that's actually the first barrier that we have in the first creating these biomaterials. And actually the solution is to help them to integrate to the manufacturing by ourselves. So we directly coach like the manufacturers to make the bags by themselves. So we give them educations not only through the farmers, but also to the manufacturers also. So that helps them to learn about biomaterials and prepare them for what's to come. I mean, biomaterial will be much more common.
Thank you. Didi, your solution addresses both packaging waste and food spoilage. Which problem has proven to be the stronger commercial driver for adoption so far?
I think extension of shelf life is very important. There are a lot of materials out there, but to have a technology that is not only edible and to be able to embed them into the food systems to kill bacteria and reduce spoilage, I think that's the key.
Karen, compostable materials often depend on waste systems to work effectively. How important is broader infrastructure compared with the packaging innovation itself?
I think that's crucial because what we've been lacking so far is the ability to look at the upstream and downstream impact for eco-materials. And so what's really important is for the infrastructure to cope with these eco-materials to get back into the system, get recycled, and not get wasted.
Excellent. And Joshua, building materials often face strict performance expectations. What has been the biggest challenge in building trust around recycled alternatives?
This is really interesting. From the start, at the beginning of the Plana Wood, safety standards, technical value, and pricing is our main concern. We don't want to market our product as only sustainable. We also want our product to be also good in technical value and pricing. So that's why we are also working on we already have the qualification for the ASTM product certification and also the ISO 9001. And looking back to our World Expo Osaka project, which has been already in 4 seasons, including winter and summer. So that's why we are really confident in our product. It's because Japanese has the highest standards of all throughout Asia, and we passed their test. Thank you.
Amazing. And Tyler, as you scale across supply chains, how do you balance reducing waste with ensuring suppliers still see commercial value?
I mean, for us, it shouldn't be a complete trade-off, right, between a supplier's items that are, meant to be in surplus, waste, right, products that should be thrown away, right. It shouldn't be a complete trade-off with a commercial value. I mean, it shouldn't be a dichotomy, right, and that's the gist of our business. And how we do it is because the supply chain is huge. There are many sub-segments, and one supplier's considered food waste is actually another buyer's, right, potential regular products. And that's why it's important for us to actually capture market share fast. Like in 2022, we went to Indonesia. Within 9 months, we were in 8 cities. And we captured many markets, right, that allow us to have goods moved from one market to another market quick. And that's important for us. That's why regional coverage is important, and that helps us to breach the arbitrage. And that's how we do so.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Can we get a round of applause for all the startups? So the startups you have just heard from are tackling some of the most tangible challenges in our food and materials system. But innovations like these don't scale without the right institutional support behind them. That's where partnerships come in, and we're excited to share one that's close to home for Amplifier. For decades, the Asian Development Bank has been one of Asia's most consequential development institutions, mobilizing capital and partnerships to tackle the region's most pressing challenges. Today, we are delighted to share that their work and the Amplifier program's mission to have found common ground for 2026-2027. And Satoshi Ishii from the ADB is here to tell us more. Welcome, Satoshi.
Thank you very much. This is kind of challenging time to present this, but then I really appreciate that we have a chance to make this small announcement. And like this morning, we have been hearing a lot of startups and then innovations. It's really, really very exciting us, that we are going to be part of this community. So we, Asian Development Bank, it's really great honor for us to be in the Philanthropy Asia Summit and then part of this innovation spotlight. We are a development bank owned by this region, Asian Pacific region, with 69 member countries, of which 50 are in this region. This summit brings together innovators and leaders committed to tackling the development challenges, and that is complex development challenges, through new models of collaboration, experimentation, and deeper engagement of public sector, private sector, and philanthropy actors. This ambition strongly resonates and aligns with ADB's corporate approach, we are proud to contribute this community and grateful for the Center for Innovation, Impact Investment and Practices, CIIP, and Temasek Trust for convening this platform. At ADB, water and urban sectors sits at the center of our development goal, like Singapore. Asian Water Development Outlook Report in 2025 clearly indicated two contrasted realities. In the last decade, 2.7 billion people in Asian Pacific were lifted out of extreme water insecurity. Yet still 4 billion people are exposed to the climate risk, environmental degradation, and underinvested for water security. For impact investors and the innovators, this represents not only urgency, but an actually opportunity to deploy solutions that are bankable, scalable, and measurable. In ADB, we have instruments to work with the startups and innovative solution providers, helping them pilot with our large public sector projects and bringing market-ready opportunities for the private sector to meet the needs of public sector for scaling up. Our private sector arm, ADB Venture, can directly invest in early-stage technology startups. So here today, we are very excited and proud and honored to announce that ADB will be a sponsor of the new 2027 cohort of Amplifier program, which is launching this year, together with CIIP and Temasek Trust. Thank you very much. We'll be looking for accelerating solutions for climate adaptation and resilience in water in Asian Pacific. Through the programs and partnerships, we aim to strengthen our innovation pipelines, crowd in private capital, and then also capabilities, and create clearer pathways for impactful solutions to reach the community that need them the most. We look forward to working closely with CIIP and Temasek Trust and partners across this ecosystem as we continue to build resilient, inclusive, and sustainable cities and water system across Asian Pacific. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that, Satoshi. There will be a quick 15-minute lunch break. I think there are some packed lunches at the back of the room on the right-hand side. If you could grab them and then come back to your seats, we will continue with the innovation showcase. Thank you for all making it back from lunch, everybody. And if you could take your seats, we're about to get ready with the final keynote of the program, which brings in the public sector perspective and the role it has in scaling impact innovations across Asia. Professor Arif Satiria is chairman of Indonesia's National Research and Innovation Agency, BRIN. At BRIN, he is tasked with overseeing Indonesia's consolidated research ecosystem, focusing on integrating innovation with national policy and supporting blue sky research with government-aligned frameworks. Please welcome Professor Arif.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests, esteemed partners, and fellow advocates of innovation. It is a genuine honor to be here at the Philanthropy Asia Summit in Singapore. I am Arif Satria, Chairman of BRIN, Indonesia's National Research and Innovation Agency. The world today faces challenges of extraordinary complexity: climate disruption, food insecurity, geopolitical fragmentation, and pandemic threats. These realities make one truth undeniable. Innovation is no longer a competitive advantage. It is a strategic imperative. Yet promising research and innovation too often fall short, and not for lack of brilliance, but because the path from discovery to implementation is often complex. At BRIN, we carry the scientific authority, the social mandate, and the political license to move innovation forward. With BRIN, you gain the brand, the trust, and the license to act. And so here is how we make that work for you. Ladies and gentlemen, but before we get to know BRIN more, we must first understand the reality shaping our world today. We are entering an era increasingly defined by a polycrisis, where climate disruption, geopolitical instability, and health insecurity no longer occur separately, but reinforce one another. Food system, energy security, supply chains, and public and health resilience are now deeply interconnected. These challenges cannot be addressed through isolated approaches. They require stronger integration between science, industry, investment, policy, and international collaboration. For Indonesia, innovation must strengthen resilience, sustainability, and competitiveness. This is why BRIN views innovation not as a standalone sector, but as an important foundation for national transformation in an increasingly uncertain world. Ladies and gentlemen, that response is grounded in the nationwide and rapidly expanding innovation base. Today, brings towards more than 6,000 innovations and assets aligned with Indonesian national strategic priorities. Our research ecosystem is organized around 8 major national research agendas, spanning food and energy security, aerospace and nuclear technology, from the soil to the space or to the sky. Innovation is then channeled through 3 strategic tracks: empowering communities and startups, strengthening strategic industries, and expanding global technology collaboration. BRIN is committed to bring innovation beyond the laboratory and into the lives of people. The breadth of this pipeline is sustained by an integrated national research ecosystem that spans the entire Indonesian archipelago. BRIN currently comprises more than 8,000 researchers, 12 research organizations from humanities to health to space, and 85 research centers distributed across the country. Nationwide, we have around 200 facilities. Each region contributes a distinct set of capabilities, from biodiversity and marine systems to aerospace, advanced manufacturing, and nuclear technology. Together, they form a foundation enabling us to draw on unique local knowledge in the service of national priorities. This network transforms local ingenuity into national impact and national ambition into a foundation for partnership that extends beyond our borders. Looking ahead to 2030, Indonesia is concentrating its effort on building an integrated innovation economy. Our priority sectors include biotechnology, clean energy, advanced materials, artificial intelligence, semiconductor technologies, maritime system, and industrial downstream development. What is decisive here is convergence. We are drawing together frontier technologies, industrial imperatives, and national priorities into a single, coherent strategy and not pursue these fields separately. This objective is not technological advancement alone. It is economic competitiveness and long-term national resilience. By anticipating tomorrow's demand and aligning our resources today, we are positioning Indonesia as defining participant in the global innovation landscape of the decades ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, let me turn from strategy to practice. In the domain of food sovereignty, BRIN has developed climate-adaptive agricultural technologies, including biosaline rice, engineered specifically for coastal and climate-vulnerable regions to strengthen food resilience. In energy transition, we are advancing cleaner industrial technologies and strategic downstream initiatives designed to support Indonesia's long-term energy resilience. Meanwhile, in waste-to-value innovation, technology such as petasol and rare earth recovery systems demonstrate how plastic waste, industrial waste, and e-waste can be transformed into valuable energy resources and future strategic materials. These innovations show that sustainability and industrial transformation can move forward together. Ladies and gentlemen, turning now to healthcare and advanced technology, domains where sovereignty is equally vital. BRIN is currently developing tuberculosis vaccine candidates, regenerative biomaterials, and nuclear medicine technologies to strengthen Indonesian healthcare resilience. In aerospace and digital technology, Indonesia has also developed indigenous satellite and unmanned aerial system for environmental monitoring and surveillance applications. These innovations are not merely technical achievements. They strengthen our national capability, support public resilience, and help secure Indonesia's long-term strategic interests. At the core of all this effort is a shared commitment ensuring innovation delivers meaningful value for society. Ladies and gentlemen, which brings me to perhaps the most important question in innovation policy: how do we bridge the distance between discovery and impact? Innovation follows a clear journey from scientific discovery and technology development to validation, commercialization, and industrial adoption. Yet, the greatest challenge has always been translating research into real-world implementation. To address this, BRIN established Rumah Inovasi Indonesia, or Indonesia Innovation Powerhouse, a national platform designed to connect research, industry, investment, and innovation within one collaborative ecosystem. Through this initiative, we are accelerating commercialization, strengthening partnership, advancing downstream development, and shortening the path from laboratory to market. The government also plays an important orchestration role by aligning policy, funding, and partnership to help innovation scale sustainably. Ladies and gentlemen, one of our use cases is on nickel. Indonesia holds one of the world's largest nickel reserves, but today, the real value of nickel lies in downstream industrial transformation. Through advanced processing and battery ecosystems, nickel can generate significantly higher economic and strategic value across the production chain, with some applications create up to 158 times greater added value compared to raw materials alone. This transformation supports electric vehicles, energy storage, and advanced manufacturing and future industrial ecosystem. For Indonesia, downstreaming is part of broader efforts to strengthen industrial capability and long-term competitiveness in the future global economy. No nation can address the challenge of our era alone. That is why deepening international collaborations remains among our highest priorities, because the future of innovations belongs to open principle of partnership. As Indonesia strengthens its ecosystem, BRIN is expanding its global reach, convinced that collaboration is the surest path to share and lasting progress. Ladies and gentlemen, Indonesia's potential is high, but potential alone is not enough. What matters is how we connect science with implementation and innovation with enduring impact. At BRIN, we are committed to an open, globally integrated innovation ecosystem, one that improves lives, strengthens resilience, creates shared prosperity, and secure our future. Therefore, I thank you. We look forward to building meaningful partnership together. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Arif, for sharing the impact that the public sector can have in development. We move to the next segment of the Innovation Spotlight, health. Sustainable living isn't just about the planet, it's about people, and across Asia, healthcare systems are undergoing pressure to reach more people more effectively at a lower cost. From mental wellness to maternal health, medication adherence to chronic disease management, the gaps in healthcare access and delivery are well documented. What's changing is the tools available to close them. AI diagnostics, wearables, digital therapeutics, and community-based care models are making personalized preventative health more accessible. This segment features startups supported by AVC Impact, Catalytic Capital for Climate and Health, DBS Foundation, Swiss Re Foundation, and the UNDP SDG Venture Scaler in partnership with CIIP. First up from Neurowiser, we have Su-Yan Pang, the CEO.
Good afternoon. I'm Zian from Neurowiser.
Thank you for having us today. NeuroWiser is a digital brain health company founded by subject matter experts in population health and neuroscience. Our investors include Peak 15, formerly known as Sequoia, SG Innovate, and Jungle Ventures. Today, we're tackling the problem of early brain decline. For those of you in the audience who are above 30 years old, I have bad news for you. Your brain functions peaked. They could already be declining, but you don't know it yet. In fact, 1 in 10 people at the age of 30 start to experience early brain decline. And by the time you get to 50, that number is as high as 40%. One day, when you are in your 70s, you may experience dementia, you may have a stroke, but by then it is too late. So this begs the question, why is it that we wait until it is too late? The reason is existing tools out there are not suitable for detecting early brain decline. Clinicians now use pen and paper tests, which require someone to administer, or they may use MRIs and CT scans, which are inaccessible and unaffordable. What NeuroWiser has developed is the digital brain function screen. It is a series of neuroscience puzzles that can be done on your laptop, your tablet, or on your phone. In 15 minutes, you'll get a report which tells you your risk of early brain decline. We are found in many leading providers of health screening in Singapore, in India, in Malaysia, in Indonesia, and other parts of the region. We're available in 10 different languages, and we're registered in 9 countries as a software as a medical device. We're in Singapore with players like Raffles, Fullerton, Parkway Shenton. In India, we're with Apollo Hospitals. In Malaysia, with Sunway, with Park City Medical, with Prince Court Medical. And in Indonesia, we're with Prodia, Pramita, and EMC. We're now at an inflection point. Our test users are going up exponentially. We're now looking for partners to work with us in several areas to help us deepen our presence in these countries and to help us move into new areas like stroke and epilepsy. So ladies and gentlemen, brain decline is not inevitable. Come and work with us so that we can help everybody stay one step ahead of brain decline. Thank you.
Next on stage, J.Y. Chen, CEO of Buddy of Parents.
Good afternoon. Late one evening, 3 years ago, my brother called me. Coco, please rush to the father's house right now. Mama called. Papa has fallen down a flight of stairs. As I reached the home, my father was on the ground. He was bloodied. He was in a daze and he couldn't move. My brother, who's a doctor, said to me, call the ambulance right now. We need help. That moment stayed with me. If this could happen to my father, what would other older adults who stay alone at home do in times of an emergency? Aging in place is a global reality. Singapore, China, Japan, societies are facing a rapidly aging population where 20 to 30% are above 65. So the question is, when an older adult living alone faces a medical emergency, how does he get help? In fact, when everything seems fine, how do we know that he's even truly okay? This is why we built Buddy of Parents. We enable older adults to live well at home, safely, independently, and with dignity. We do this through 3 solutions. Number 1, we have the Bob button. It is an emergency button that at one press, there's a 24/7 manned response. Secondly, we have the Bob Presence. It uses Wi-Fi sensing and it tracks human activity at home. So we know, is dad home? Is mom sleeping well? The Bob Monitor voice detects falls using AI. Without cameras, no wearables, but with two-way voice with the 24/7 connectivity. The opportunity is massive. In Asia today, there are more than 300 million people over 65, and most of them don't live with their children who are in other cities, in fact, in other countries. But that's where Buddy of Parents come in. In Singapore, we already deploy in 15,000 homes. We are scaling up to 40,000 homes in HDB flats across Singapore. According to the Straits Times report last year, the Bob button has been pressed and activated more than 20,000 times and more than 1,600 lives have been saved. And we're just getting started. We're building our AI-powered Bob Companion, not just for conversations, but for effective daily living, transport, doctor appointments, daily services, a true companion for aging at home. We are now expanding globally with pilot interest secured in Japan and in USA. In fact, our first 100 home deployment is in Florida next week. We are now seeking partners and investors to accelerate our product development and our go-to-market at scale. Because the future of aging is not in institutions, it is at home. Thank you.
Please welcome Tim Zhang, the Dean of DMXM's Children and Adolescents Development Program.
Good afternoon, yes. Joshua is 4 years old with autism. He has been injured by 3 kindergartens due to his aggressive behavior such as biting and hitting others. Fortunately, after 2 years of intensive early intervention, now he's already back into the mainstream classroom. His story really reflects the level of power of early intervention. Hi, I'm Dr. Tim Zhang, representing Dami and Xiaomi. We are one of the largest early intervention provider for all children with autism and related disorder. Globally, 1 in 36 children are diagnosed with autism. In China alone, we have an estimate about 10 million of children and adolescents are being impacted. And each year, we have over 200,000 of newly diagnoses. Given the high demand, however, the service is not catching up due to 3 major reasons. One is really the shortage of certified therapists. Second is the high cost of one-on-one service. 3 is the inconsistent service providing. For Dami and Xiaomi, we have been operating in China in the past 11 years. In this journey, we have established 80 centers across China and serving 50,000 children in the past. As of right now, we are serving over 6,000 children at a daily basis. What this enables us is to develop what we call the RISE AI, an AI-empowered rehabilitation platform. What it do is to primarily 2 things, to improve the efficiency and standardization. For efficiency, a lot of therapists that we used to work with, they have to spend at least 3 hours to generate the report and the plan. With RISE AI, now they only need to spend about 10 minutes and generate a report that's 90% of accuracy. That really sped up a lot of resource from the capacity. And now a therapy can serve 50% more children. And that, in return, will lower the cost. Second, for standardization, a lot of small agencies across China and also East Asia are struggling because they limit certified therapists. With RISE AI, we are able to streamline the assessment and intervention process so that they all can receive quality care. Our impact are remarkable. In the past, following a follow-up study showed that over 74% of our clients are being able to return to the mainstream classroom. As a leading agency backed by leading investor like ABC Impact, we are looking for local investor strategic partner to work together to bring this service and experience and technology to Singapore and East Asia. If you are passionate about this opportunity and mission, we'd love to get connected. Thank you.
Please welcome Troy Pilapil, the co-founder and CEO of CP Health Innovations.
Good day, everyone. I would like to know anyone here who has ever tried spending their whole day just to have a 5-minute consultation or to spend 5 minutes of a health service. Anyone here? So perhaps it's not common here in Singapore. But as you see in my home country in the Philippines, it is the status quo. Now, to put things into perspective, imagine you're a daily wage earner, living paycheck to paycheck. And then it's like choosing between having to go to work
to get a living wage and to put food on the table versus trying to get treatments or medicines in a health center. It's like a lose-lose situation. It doesn't really make sense. And that's why it doesn't have to be. And in our company, I'm Troy Spilapil, co-founder and CEO of CP Health Innovations. We developed CareGo Health Suite. It is a clinic management platform wherein our partner clinics would be able to eliminate the operational friction in running their clinics, while also helping them increase to maximize their capacity to deliver care. With our work in clinics nationwide, we have seen that helping these clinics process thousands of patients from 4 weeks to less than a week. With healthcare workers, from getting burnt out, we were able to reduce their administrative burden by 75%. And seeing that they now have an option to do flexible work arrangements and also reducing the need for overtime. And of course, to our partner clinic owners, we were able to help them achieve financial sustainability in putting up clinics wherein they are in the underserved areas. Moving forward from all of these results, we are now leveraging the recently enacted Universal Healthcare Law in the Philippines, where the government guarantees free, paid primary healthcare all over for the Filipinos. And now that we are trying to maximize that, we are looking to work with industrial clinics and occupational health clinics and looking for strategic partners who would be able to help us strengthen the value chain down the road. And if you're looking to make healthcare easier, I'm inviting you to work with us. Again, I'm Troy Spilapil, co-founder and CEO of CP Health Innovations. Maraming salamat.
Please welcome Dr. Virek Chia, co-founder and CEO of PillTech.
Good afternoon. My name is Virek. I am a US trained pharmacist and the CEO co-founder of PillTech. So in Cambodia, like most Southeast Asian countries, when you get sick, what do? You go see your pharmacist first. The reason is because we're accessible and trusted. However, most pharmacists are only equipped as a dispenser and not a frontline care. So what that means is low visibility on stock, manual reordering, which leads to out of stock for essential products such as diabetes and blood pressure medicines. But most importantly, they're not trained to screen patients for early detection for diabetes or blood pressure. So PillTech is changing that. We're building it in 3 connected ways. One, we build an online platform where they're able to access quality product, affordable products at their fingertips. Second, we provide them with a POS system to help them manage their inventory better so that they can essentially stock better products, because we believe that better stock pharmacy equals to better access. Third, we work with the Ministry of Health under the Pharmacy Council of Cambodia to provide them CPD, continuous professional development training for the pharmacists, so that they can help the patients better, screen better, referral early, and then get a patient treated. This is already happening in Cambodia. We already onboarded 3,500 pharmacies already across the 25 provinces of Cambodia. And this is not about building a strong pharmacy business. It's about transforming pharmacies into the first point of care, the frontline care, so that they can screen, refer patient to the health center. This is far beyond Cambodia. If we can prove that by equipping the pharmacists to be a frontline care, they could help save millions of patients. And that could be scaled across the underserved community of Southeast Asia. So at PillTech, we believe that stronger pharmacies equal to access to millions of patients, better access to healthcare for millions of patients. So for us, this is what we do, and we hope to scale that across Southeast Asia. Thank you very much.
Please welcome to the stage Nathan Cheong, Chief Business Development Officer of InjiWell.
All right, thank you everyone for your attendance. So before I begin, I'd just like you to think about a loved one who is living with a non-communicable disease, a chronic version of it. how much better do you think their lives would be if they had earlier awareness and an opportunity to make things better before it got worse? That is the exact question why InduoMe was built. Hi, I'm Nathan Cheong, Chief Business Development Officer of InduoMe. And we believe that preventative healthcare should always be for everyone. Now, the problem we see is much bigger than one clinical visit. Most people only get their health vitals checked when they fall ill, which means that on a day-to-day basis, they miss opportunities to take care of themselves at every point in time. So, within the current climate and heat impacts that we are experiencing today, we are really looking at preventative healthcare from multiple facets. Now, our approach is on two prongs. The first, Deep Health Vision, is an AI solution that changes any mobile device into a health screening tool. So imagine being able to track your blood pressure, heart rate, oxygen saturation, all within 30+ seconds on your mobile phone. This actually creates multiple opportunities for people to take preventative action and to create the awareness behind non-preventative healthcare. All right? With every scan, it feeds into our second solution, Deep Health Net. And with this preventative AI layer, it creates trends, give actionable insights for better diagnosis. Now, we are supported very well by C3H to address vulnerable populations. And with aged care being an issue, with outdoor workers and vulnerable populations exposed, we are building our expansion into health and climate indicators rather than just physiological health. So for now, we are really inviting thought leaders and partners who believe in systems change. Because with no traction and no one pushing and championing this preventative healthcare approach, it will all be a myth. So we really believe that in the future of healthcare, prevention should be the foundation of how we take care of ourselves and our family members. Thank you so much for your time. And if you have the opportunity, please visit us at the Temasek Trust booth at the entrance. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, and I'd like to welcome all the health startups back on stage, please. But Nathan, we've got you here. So as health monitoring becomes increasingly passive and camera-based, how should privacy and personal health data ownership be handled?
So from our take on personal health information, this should be held by the organizations we are working with, because from us as a service provider, we believe that personal privacy should be taken with the utmost respect. And from that point of view, we from a service point will not collect anything, and we think of it as a lock and key, where you as the users have the key, and the service providers such as clinicians and the organizations will need to request it from the users.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Neurowiser uses digital assessments for early detection. How do you build trust in digital screening compared with traditional clinical models?
Our differentiator is the fact that we are registered as a software as a medical device with various regulators. We are now registered in 9 countries as a software as a medical device, and that means that we've gone through the clinical validation that's necessary to make us comparable to existing tools out there.
Wonderful. Virek, medication adherence is often a behavioral issue rather than a technical one. So how do you design solutions people actually use consistently?
Very good question. So for us, we always bet on the pharmacist. The pharmacist should be the one that tell the patient what to do. And this is where PillTech is transforming the pharmacist currently today. If the pharmacists are able to do simple as screening the patients, talking to patients about medication adherence, talking about how to use the medication, then we solve that problem. However, currently, pharmacies in Southeast Asia are only dispenser, and this is where PillTech comes in to ensure that they become the frontline care by speaking to their patient, advising the patients on how to take their medication properly. Thank you.
Thank you. JY, how do you measure impact when outcomes depend on long-term behavioral changes with families?
Body of Parent solutions keep seniors and elder adults home, safe, and with their sense of well-being. So measurement comes in very hard metrics and also soft ones. For example, the Body of Parents, the Bob button, is an emergency button. And we can measure that by the number of activations and the number of lives that are saved. But then we have solutions that are force sensors, like the Bob monitor and the Bob presence. We sense the well-being when things are fine. Then the soft measurement comes because we have interviews, we have interaction with the seniors all the time. The sense of well-being and the confidence that comes and the ease of mind that loved ones have. These are measurements that we rely on, and we see a lot of it.
Tim, many families may delay seeking support due to awareness or stigma. In your experience, what has been the hardest barrier to changing perceptions around developmental support?
That's a great question, actually. So in China, we have a lot of diagnoses that get to not until 4 years old, 5 years old. And I think number one issue is about awareness and really acceptance. So a lot of effort that Dami and Xiaomi have to put in is advocacy. And really, we have over 1 million users in our app that are using our identities, and they really change, in the landscape, the earning diagnosis and awareness of that. So on top of that, we also, the Rise AI that we use are really now deploying into other non-Dami and Xiaomi centers. And we know that all those small centers in the tier 3, tier 4, 5 cities, those parents are oftentimes lack of awareness. And we use those AI tools really to produce feeding, and we also see significant change and buy-in from the parents. So I think that, relying on the media, the social media platform, and also the AI tool that we developed, will be able to really expertise the diagnosis and awareness and acceptance over time. Yeah.
Thank you. Troyes, final question for you. As you scale into more communities, how do you ensure the platform remains adaptable to local healthcare needs rather than becoming a one-size-fits-all model?
Yeah, that's a very common question, especially if you're trying to do solutions for the national level. So what we're always trying to avoid is providing a lukewarm solution, because especially in healthcare, the precision is really important. So for us, we always come to the point that we always want to know what is the outcomes that we're trying to achieve by using our solution. And that is our North Star in providing it for our partner clinics and even partner government health offices.
Thank you. Can we get a round of applause for the startups in the health? So on to our last segment on the Innovation Spotlight, inclusive development. Innovation only creates lasting change when it reaches the people who need it the most. Because a sustainable future is an equitable one, backed by the Macquarie Group Foundation with strategic partners NTUC's E2I and Generation Hong Kong, the Amplifier Employability Track was built specifically to support ventures expanding equitable employment for underrepresented communities. The Amplifier mentees were not just creating jobs, but building pathways as well, from frontline worker development to deaf community empowerment to disability inclusion. They each address a different dimension of the same problem. So I would like to welcome Zihin Lee, the co-founder and group CEO of Bagosphere, for the first startup.
My grandmother died a dishwasher. She was 55 years old, illiterate, and spent her last years washing dishes, squatting on the stool, working 12-hour days. Not because she lacked motivation, but because there was no pathway for her. That was 30 years ago, and the world has changed. And employability is under tremendous pressure. AI, automation, the pace of disruption just keeps accelerating. So imagine what is going to happen to the 240 million informal workers across Southeast Asia. That is what Bargosphere aims to change. We create the pathways that my grandmother never had. By working with companies, we transform informal workers into capable, resilient, frontline employees and future leaders. How? By developing their human capabilities. Yes, AI is going to continue to advance, but it will never replace trust, empathy, human touch, human connection. And as AI scales, those will become premium. And that is what we're doubling down on. And the results speak for themselves. We work with one of our clients to help them increase their retention of their frontline employees from 30% to 85%. One of our partners reported that our students are 42% more likely to be promoted. And one of our partners also reported that we helped them save $16 million in cost savings over 5 years. 16,200 people trained, 42,000 people in our job seeker network, and 80% placement rate within 90 days. We are a sustainable social business, not just helping people get jobs, but also helping some of the largest companies like Grab and largest microfinance institutions in the Philippines solve two critical business challenges: retention and scaling their frontline workforce. Our goal by 2035 is to reach 500,000 workers across Southeast Asia. Let me end with a story of Makel, one of our former students, a Filipino who lived in the countryside, working 3 informal jobs as a farmer, a laborer, and a tricycle driver, earning less than $100 a month. Seeing his wife leaving their home to come to Singapore to work as a domestic helper, not because they have no choice. Within 2 months, we were able to help Makel gain his confidence, build his capabilities, and he was able to find his first formal job, tripling his salary. Today, his wife is home, his son is starting college, and soon to be the family's first college graduate. Makel is now working with Bargosphere, is in fact one of our managers, and helping others make the same journey as he once did. So we're building the future, and that future is the future of work as human. Thank you very much.
Please welcome Sean Tan, co-founder of INCLUS.
Hello, everyone. There are over 1.3 billion people in the world living with a disability, and all of their parents have the same question in mind. What will happen to my child after I'm gone? Anders and I experienced this firsthand with our close friend Rudy. Rudy graduated in 2018 with a diploma, and he was struggling to find a job. It was during this process that we realized how difficult it was, not just for a person with disability to find a job, but to also be independent. Rudy is not just a number, and his family's burdens are not unique. If you include family members, disability impacts up to 4.5 billion people globally. So the three of us got together and see if we could do anything about it. Today, support remains highly fragmented. When an individual with disability graduates into the workforce, traditional hiring systems inadvertently filter them out, leading to their unemployment being at least twice that of the general population. It is also costing economies up to 7% of their GDP in lost productivity. And yet, over 75% of employers around the world struggle to find the talent that they need. And this was why we founded INCLUS, to bridge the gap between people with disabilities and employers, so that people with disabilities can get gainful employment, employers can have a stronger workforce and bottom line, and caregivers can get some respite and hope. We provide end-to-end training, job placement, job support, and post-placement care, so that families can have a peace of mind and employers can get accessibility and sensitivity training and support. This approach has worked very well for us as a social enterprise, and we have been profitable since year 2. Our retention rates are 50% higher than of traditional hires, and we have placed talents across the board, from high-volume hospitality roles to high-performing teams in global brands such as L'Oreal and Siva Logistics.
We are currently serving individuals with disabilities aged 7 into their 40s, and we are seeking strategic partners to help us expand geographically so that we can widen our social impact and to extend our services to early intervention for children aged 1 to 6. With your support, we will be able to provide a continuum of care all the way from day one into independent employment. But Include is really not just redefining recruitment for people with disabilities. We're giving families hope. We're helping parents shift from the heartbreaking desire to just simply outlive their children into one where they can peacefully transition away from lifelong caregiving. With your support, we can give families the opportunities and support that they deserve. Thank you.
Please welcome Ali Shabar, co-founder and CEO, and Wamek Hassan, co-founder and CTO of DefTalk.
Hello everyone, my name is Ali. I'm Vamek. Vamek is my eyes because I'm blind by birth. And Ali is my ears because I'm deaf by birth. And we are a Deaf Talk team, and we are here to bridge the communication gap for the deaf community. How we started? So as a deaf person, I faced many challenges in trying to communicate with the general public in Pakistan, and there were no interpreters. So that was the reason I had to move to the US to avail the sign language facility, and because of that, I was able to communicate with the general public and complete my education. After 15 years, I went back to Pakistan, and then I realized there were millions of deaf people who still don't have access to the interpreter. That's why we started this platform to empower the deaf community. And Vamek is not alone. According to WHO, it's 466 million people who are facing that particular challenge every single day in their life because of two major reasons. One is the lack of sign language interpreter. For 8,000 deaf users, only one sign language interpreter is there. And over the top, 90% of them unable to read and write. So if a deaf person visits to a doctor, he unable to explain the pain. Even in the job interviews, he faced challenges to explain the skill sets. But now, we are bridging that gap by providing digital sign language interpretation services whenever, wherever required. We have a mobile application as well as an AI solution who bridges that gap. Let's talk about our mobile application first. It's an Uber for sign language interpreters. So, in that way, we connect deaf users with human sign language interpreters through a video calling solution on the go. For example, if a deaf person visits to a doctor, connects with the mobile app, immediately finds the interpreter and able to share their pain points. And that case scenario goes with the job interviews as well. On the other side, our AI, which is very closer to our heart, is translating from text to sign language and voice to sign language. The problem which 90% of deaf unable to read, it can easily be solved. So they can access to websites, mobile application, any written content, speeches, and they require more of the utilization of sign language interpreters. So the problem where we have less interpreters and more demand, so that can be easily integrated towards it. So in last 4 years, we have rendered 2 million minutes. We have 65,000 monthly active users. And now we are launching in Malaysia with the amplified support. So those who want to be part of the journey and be the Google translator for the deaf community, please join hands together, and we are here to bridge that communication gap. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Can I invite the other two founders back on stage, please? And Ali and Wamek, for the first question for you, which is, the platform now supports 8 languages, more than 8 languages. So how do you ensure interpreter quality and consistency across such a diverse language pool?
Oh, that's a very important question. When we talk about the human interpretation model, we have a very rigorous onboarding criteria. So we first require the official sign language certification. And yes, we know at the global south, there are no authentic bodies who provide that certification level as well, such as in Pakistan and Sri Lanka. So for that, we have in-house interpreters who test their signs and then able to recruit them on board and have the license to go live with the with the interpretation model. But for our AI model, we rigorously testing with the deaf users, and they approved it with the accuracy of 98%, and so that's why it's live.
Thank you. Sean, Singapore's enabling master plan targets 40% employment of working age PWDs by 2030. What is the bottleneck right now? Is it employer demand? Is it candidate readiness? Or is there a systemic barrier?
I think it's a very beautiful combination of all three. So for us, it's really figuring out for each individual, whether it's a family or from an employer point of view, what were the barriers that was impeding them into employment. And for us, it's not one of the answers. So it has to be all three worked on at the same time. So depending on your disability profile, you might have very different systemic barriers affecting your access to employment. You can have a candidate who is very ready, but if an employer is not ready to hire you, it doesn't matter how well trained an individual is. So we have always gone on a three-pronged approach. So it's the people's, public and private partnerships kind of approach. So we've got to get employers ready, we've got to get candidates and their families knowing where they want to get to, and at the same time we work very closely with the non-profits and government to make sure we can augment the effort that employers and candidates are putting in just to make sure somebody gets into employment.
Thank you. Zihan, as AI reshapes the BPO industry, your graduates enter, how has Bagosphere evolved its curriculum to stay relevant?
Well, it's not just the BPO industry that's going to get impacted. I think all jobs are going to be impacted in one way or another. We are very selective in the terms of the kind of opportunities, in terms of the types of employment that we are working with. And you might have heard me hear me say frontline employment or frontline employees quite a bit. And BPO is just one of the many employers that we work with. We work with microfinance, we work with, now more recently with the Amplifier program, we're aiming to work with hospitality, and that's a new industry that we are working with. We work a lot with Grab, we work with also the rural banking industry. So any industry that is growing and relies on these human touch to drive the business forward will be industries that we want to work with, because that's where we believe that the importance and the premium that we're going to pay to still get human interaction and human touch is going to be so much more valuable than before. And that's where I think the interesting opportunity is when it comes to employability.
Thank you so much. Can I get a round of applause for all of the startups? Now, inclusion isn't just about who gets a job, but it's also about who gets access to capital, clean energy, and financial tools to build a better life. Whether it's renewable energy reaching undeserved communities, fintech unlocking access to credit, or edtech bridging skills gaps, there are building blocks. These are the building blocks for an inclusive society. For the final group of innovators, we have companies curated with the support of our partners. Aeon and Climafi, MasterCard Strive, and the UNDP SDG Venture Scaler programs in partnership with CIIP. This group captures what this entire event has been about. Founders who see a broken system and decide to fix it, not wait for someone else to. So, I would like to welcome Anant Jain, founder and CEO of Accelero, to the stage, please.
Hello everyone. Please look over here. Enough of screen time. Okay, a 3-minute pitch only. This is a story of millions of blue-collar jobs like factory workers, security guards, technicians and all that do not have a basic motorized vehicle. Let's say we all came through cars, through something and all to this destination. But in India, millions and millions face this problem. Why? Due to a huge disparity, a huge gap exists between the mobility price and the earnings level. For example, a security guard in the country who earns USD 120 to $150 and the motorized mobility like a bike or a scooty, a basic one, it starts at 600 USD. Hence, after 8 to 12 hours of manual labor, they either walk, cycle, or take some shared form of transport to reach back home. And in a country which faces extreme heat over 8 to 10 months, this results in drudgery, poverty, health issues. We at Accelero, with the initial years of R&D, developed electric mobility solutions to overcome this problem. Our solutions starts from USD $180. Around 6,000 plus people avail the product. 60 dB survey indicates that the users that are benefited from our products, around 34% came out of poverty, 40% reported health benefits, and 94% of them reported that there is no other alternative to e-bike. India, the second largest producer and consumer of manual bicycles worldwide, and the largest in terms of carts, the rickshaw pullers. You can see an image of a rickshaw puller. India is the largest producer and consumer of these carts. Around 20 million people use these carts to earn a living. 500 to 600 kgs of load being pulled every day to earn a living. Many of them say that we consume alcohol at night because after so much hard work, the body pain doesn't let them sleep. So alcohol very, very important actually so that this body pain gets rid of them. So we are here to solve this. Some of the organizations that supported us in this journey, Acumen, Social Alpha, Selco, and Upaya. We are here to take this journey forward, like 6,000 beneficiaries so far. We want to reach millions and millions of users so that this problem completely eradicates. Thank you all.
Please welcome to the stage Fazli Mustaba, the founder and managing director of Envo Renewable Energy Services.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Fazli Mustaba, representing Envo Renewable Energy Services, a for-profit social enterprise enabling clean energy access across Northeast India. Let me start with a question. Just imagine where you would be today if your home never had electricity. Let me talk about Bipulda, a 70-year-old man from a remote village of Northeast India where there had been no electricity. When we were installing a solar system at his home, he came, held my hand, and said, "Son, you fulfill my last wish to see an electric bulb at my home before I die." That moment reminded me that we are not just delivering electricity, but we are restoring opportunity. And millions across Northeast India are still waiting for this opportunity. In many remote communities, unreliable or absent electricity limits education, healthcare services, livelihoods, and resilience during disaster. At ERES, we solved this problem through decentralized renewable energy solutions tailored for underserved communities. We power homes, we power schools, healthcare centers, livelihoods, and small businesses, enabling opportunity, improving the income generation and economic opportunities. We are here today looking for strategic partners, right capital, with whom we will be able to deeper into rural markets, strengthen distribution networks, and adoption of clean energy across the Northeast India. We are looking for partners, investors who believe that energy access is the foundation to economic growth and inclusive development. Because when you are powering a community, you are not just lighting homes, you are powering progress. Thank you.
Now, please welcome Carmina Bayombong, founder and CEO of InvestEd.
Education changed my family's life. It lifted my parents out of poverty. And this is why I spent my entire career asking myself one question. Why does education still fail so many capable young people today? For example, a student can get into university, but if they drop out, no one takes accountability for that. A student can graduate, but if that degree doesn't turn into an income, no one takes accountability for that. A graduate can get their first job, but if they stay stuck in that job for many years, no one takes accountability for that. When education fails to deliver on its promise of a better life, it's not because these students lack talent or hard work, but it's because nobody takes accountability for the outcomes. And today's students are left to piece together fragmented support. When a student needs money for school, lenders can provide capital. But if life doesn't go to plan, lenders just pressure you to pay. They don't help you problem solve. A career advisor can provide direction, but when a student lacks skills or money to execute on the advice, even the best advice can fall short. Job platforms can help someone get hired, but getting a job doesn't guarantee career progression. So these fragmented sources of support is a systemic problem, and students are expected to somehow turn their education into upward mobility. And this systemic problem is what we built InvestEd for. InvestEd is a student success platform that stays with students until they move up in life. We diagnose where students are stuck, then deploy interventions, financing, coaching, and decision tools until outcomes are achieved. Today, we reach 170,000 students annually. They have 4 times faster job placement rate, and after earning their first paycheck, experience an increase of 111% in their average household income. And throughout the $6 million of education loans we've disbursed, 9 out of 10 students stay on track with repayment rates. So if we want truly inclusive growth in Southeast Asia, we need to back systems that are accountable for outcomes. And this is exactly what we built InvestEd for. So if this resonates with you, I invite you to join our mission, which is to see a world where every young dreamer has no barriers to success. Thank you very much.
Please welcome Gordon Peters, co-founder and CEO of Boost Capital.
Hi there, good afternoon. I'm Gordon Peters, co-founder and CEO of Boost Capital. Over 500 million people in Southeast Asia are underbanked. Let me tell you about one of the customer stories that we have. Sophia owns a small shop in the Philippines. She wants to take out a loan for about 10,000 pesos to buy more inventory for her shop. The bank requires her to submit paperwork, an ID, bank documents, bank statements. Somebody has to read those documents, review them, and make a decision. For a loan this small, it's sometimes about 3 days of a review and sometimes up to 3 weeks. And even with that, sometimes it's not worth the cost for the bank. So that's the problem. It's slow for Sophia, and for the bank it's expensive. And that means banks serve less clients like Sophia. We built Boost Capital exactly to solve for this problem. Our general solution is better customer onboarding. We have 2 products. First product, we help Sophia to apply for a loan using any chat platform, on WhatsApp, on Telegram, on Viber, whatever she uses currently today, we help her to apply. Second product, Verify IQ, uses AI agents to read the documents as they come through, automatically fraud detect them, and automatically pull data off of them and give that to each bank via an API call. That API call takes seconds, not days. That allows Sophia to get a loan within an hour. That allows banks to make decisions on yeses faster than they used to be able to make. Here's a secret insight we realized when we were building Boost. There's a huge difference between 90% correct and 99% correct. If you're 90% correct, the bank looks at it as a draft answer and a human needs to review the papers. If it's 99% correct, that's essentially the answer and the bank makes a decision. We've been lucky enough to have some great investors along the way as we've been building Boost. We've raised over $5 million in venture capital from some that are in the room today, Leap 201, Village Global, Iterative, In-Store Impact Fund. And we're here looking for other partners who believe in a world of financial inclusion and financial access that we're building towards. So if what you're hearing today resonates, please come talk to me. I'm Gordon with Boost Capital.
Thank you so much, Gordon. Can I please invite the other founders back on stage? And Gordon, since Boost Capital has been deployed across so many banks, how do you preserve consistent impact standards across such a diverse set of partners?
Oh, great question. So we're deployed with over 75 banks, wallets, and microfinance institutions across Asia. We have a tech stack that allows us to deploy across all of them with a separate instance, but using the same code, and then we customize to each of the partners as we launch with them. So we're able to work with a wide variety of partners, but then customize to their needs when it launches.
Thank you. Anand, just looking for the question, sorry. Maintenance and after-sales support can make or break hardware for low-income users. What would your service model look like outside of the urban areas you are operating in?
So, when we sell automobiles, it's a association with the customer for a span of 7 to 8 years. So, let's say in India, we are developing one of the most vast EV ecosystem, wherein the small shops in rural areas are being trained for after sale. They won't be acting only as the sales centers, also as the service centers. So EV has that flexibility and it can provide that advantage. So the automobile reaching bottom of the pyramid actually.
Thank you. Fazli, Northeast India has a lot of rain and cloud cover. How does that affect how well solar actually works there, and how do you design around it?
Okay. That's a very thoughtful question, and a lot of time we get to hear that. We have installed systems in Mausinram, which is the wettest place on the earth, right? We have powered health centers, we have powered schools. So it is not about rain. You can design the system. You need to bufferize based on the sunshine hours, what you have across the region or the rain-fed areas, right? But it is actually the maintenance of the system which is very, very important. And that's exactly why we train local technicians to maintain these systems and also capacity build the users to maintain it properly during the rainy or monsoon seasons. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Carmina, how do you ensure that InvestEd remains a low default rate in unbanked youth lending?
Great question. What we actually discovered at InvestEd, when you hear about student loans, right, it's kind of negative because everybody who's tried it had very high default rates. And our secret sauce at InvestEd is when we focus on student success, by nature, the student loan book actually performs well with very low default rates. And for those financial institutions who've actually tried student loans as a product, that's why it had high defaults, because there was no mechanism to ensure that education turns into lasting outcomes. And since we were able to build that, we were able to achieve low default rates of just 10% or less. And in the future, we will continue to ensure these low default rates by continuing to develop our algorithms and our platform and our student services. So yeah.
Thank you. And a round of applause for all the startups. That brings a close to today's Innovation Showcase. I would like to remind all of you that if you are interested in connecting with any of the startups, please scan the QR code and that will connect you directly with them. They have some booths outside if you would like to speak to them now. We would like to thank all of the startups and all of the partners. And if I could just ask the startups to stay back for a couple of minutes while we get a big team photo. But for all the guests, thank you so much for your attention. We greatly appreciate that.